"We are not alone, little one," said Saphira. A smile crept across his face, and the ship sailed onward, gliding serenely down the moonlit river toward the dark lands beyond.
I just know, and maybe it's because I know his fur is blue, but that Bloodgarm looks over at Aragon in this moment and is like, "No bitches?" Ooh, what's up, Internet? My name's Nerdy.
And I'm Clarus.
And this is the Nerdy,
The Wordy,
the Book Club. Clarus, did you understand what I was referencing there?
No, why is what about him being blue?
There's a Megamind meme.
Okay.
Where he's like, and it says "no bitches" at the bottom, and you post it when someone is giving off incel behavior on the internet, and so Aragon is floating away from the one person who might take his virginity, and that was the joke.
How is that incel behavior?
I wasn't saying that it was incel behavior. I'm just saying that like he's not getting fucked.
That reference went way over my head.
But Saphira is. Welcome to the final book club of the Inheritance Cycle. Maybe it depends on whether or not Murtagh is considered Inheritance Cycle.
No, it's its own thing.
Sure.
Yeah, it's its own thing.
But like on YouTube, it will be in the Inheritance Cycle playlist.
Yeah, that's fine. People will understand that.
You know what else is in that playlist?
This live
An interview with Christopher Paolini, the author of this book. It's like 49 minutes, I think.
Yeah, we had a lengthy chat. It was very cool.
We'll discuss behind the scenes of that, but first we have to say that this podcast is brought to you by Misty Mountain Gaming.
What?
Misty Mountain Gaming. If you are not a dragon rider, but instead a dragon slayer, if you're playing the TTRPGs and you need to kill the big bad Tiamat with his 5 heads, which means 5 different colored cocks, you want to go to MistyMountainGaming.com and get 5 different colored dice so you can roll 1d20 for each penis. Maybe, no, you need 10. You need 1 for each ball.
Why? That's so many.
They should release a 10d20 set and call it Tiamat's testicles.
But he only has 1 body.
Yeah, but he's got 5 heads.
So where are the balls going?
Unless right next to. Have you seen a penis before? Usually there's the shaft of the penis, and then the balls just hang there.
Yeah, but where are all the 5 penises on the 1 body?
Just side by side, just like in a row.
Like udders?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
This is the kind of ad space that you can get on our channel if you want to sponsor us, like MistyMountainGaming.com did. MistyMountainGaming.com, they're truly the best. So if you want a set of Tiamat's testes, go to MistyMountainGaming.com and use code nerdynightly15 for 15% off your order. They're seriously the best. We love them so much. James Connolly says Tiamat is a lady. So I take back everything I just said.
I mean, I guess there's many ovaries.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Tiamat's ovaries. I want that dice set.
I don't. You know what? I am okay. I'm good. I'm
in the 5 colors.
You know, I'm good. What's up, chat? How we doing today?
Hi, chat. I guess Tiamat would lay eggs. Never mind. All of this was dumb. You
know what? You went for it. You went hard, and like I respect it. I respect it.
You know what? You got to stand out in today's economy.
Yeah, for your ad space.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the final book of the Inheritance Cycle here, but first we are going to discuss that interview because it was fun, and the way that it came about was a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
We the way it came about was easy. We just reached out.
Yeah, I just was like, you know what? Paolini is very active on Twitter.
I'm a slide in them DMs.
Yeah. I was like, well, first of all, I did go looking on his website for like a contact for like his manager or whatever, and I wasn't able to find anything. So I messaged him and I was like, hey, we would want to do an interview. what is the contact information to go about arranging that? Like,
Yeah.
how would one do this? And he responded. He sent me his, I guess, his manager, one of his managers' email addresses, and we chatted with Holly. Holly, you're fantastic.
Whoa, let's not.
What? She's, like, in the book.
Oh, is she? Okay, never mind.
Yeah, she's in the, like, thank yous.
Great.
For Murtagh. Yeah. No, it wasn't. Yeah.
I was like, let's not throw out people's names.
No. No, it was super lovely. And we were like, hey, like, we'll take anything we can get. You want to do a long form interview? You want to do a virtual interview? Doesn't matter. And Christopher Paolini really wanted to talk about Murtagh. So that's the main focus of the interview, especially for the second half.
Yeah.
We do get into spoilers, so make sure you've read the book before you listen to the interview.
To the entirety of it,
But there's some stuff at the beginning you can listen to if you're like, haven't had time to read Murtagh yet, which honestly, fair. Beefy book. Not quite as beefy as Inheritance, but like,
no.
Still pretty beefy.
Also, we did do that interview we started at 11:30.
Yeah.
And we ended at 12:20 in the morning.
Pretty much, yeah.
It was wild.
Yeah, the plan was so Christopher did like a book signing at like Indigo in Toronto. And
before we move on from that, we attended.
Yeah, we were there. It was wild.
Great stage presence, Chris.
Yeah.
That was fun to watch. He puts on a little show.
He's honestly delightful. He's touring right now. If you can catch a date, go for it. I don't know what my hair is doing today. It's like, this is why I don't have fucking bangs, because they don't. Anyways, doesn't matter. He was delightful.
Yeah.
And he answered questions. He kind of talked about how the inheritance cycle came about, like all these really
his
fun
youth
things.
in Alaska.
Yeah, which is wild.
You have to hear him tell the story.
He's like, I finished getting.
No, I just said you have to hear him tell the story.
Oh, okay, all right.
We can't steal his bits.
Yeah, sure. Anyways, go.
Clara's out here trying to steal material. Goddamn.
It was just very funny.
We're trying to push them to his show.
Yeah. My bad. But yeah, he's super lovely. He's very funny. Very chill. Like just like a wonderful person. And so yeah, we went to the book signing, and I was like, yes, we've got a studio booked from like 9 to 11, because I was like 9 o'clock is when the store closes, so the book signing can't go much past that. Wrong.
And so the idea was that. The idea was that Clarence was going to stay at the store to be like a contact, and then our editor, Brandon, who's wonderful and came to help shoot the interview, which is why it looks and sounds good. Because if there was no one behind the cameras, I don't know what we would have done.
Yeah.
He and I were going to be set up at like 9, so by like 9:15, when Christopher and Clarence left the store, everything would be set up. He could sit down, we would chat, it would be super easy and out the door.
Yep.
And so we're set up at like 9:15, we're standing outside of a dark building that has no lights on. Being like, I'm calling Clarence like, hey, you're sure you booked this space, right? Because there's nobody here.
Yep.
Because we can't like bring him to our house. That would be, first of all, weird. But also, we live not a
close.
Significant, pretty far out.
Yeah.
So we ended up in this situation where like Clarus is waiting for Christopher Paolini is not even close to being done signing at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, because we went up to him and we were like, hey, we got the space booked, and do you want to ride or would you prefer to Uber? And he was like, oh, well, like the last book signing went past like 11, and we were like,
we have the space until 11.
Okay, cool. We'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. You do your thing. We'll figure it out.
At this point, we went into like the modes that Clarus and I go into, which is that Clarus goes into like, well, there's nothing I can do about it, whatever. And I go into, well, the sky is falling and this sucks and we spent all this money for like something that isn't going to happen.
You know what's funny? Do
you need to go change?
No, it's fine. It's just...
Is it going to drive you crazy?
No, the bandeau is covering everything. It's just a little bit loose because I'm sitting. Doesn't matter. I used to be so much more of the like stressing out about things when they go wrong. Mm-hmm. But when somebody else is stressing out about those things going wrong, I don't.
So I make life easier on you?
Yeah, you have infinitely changed my outlook on like on disaster because someone else freaks out about it, and I'm like, well, they're doing that already. I can't also freak out about it. And so...
And sometimes all I want is for you to freak out with me.
Oh.
And you're like, what are we going to do? And I'm like, freak out. I don't know. It's the only thing that we can do. Dennis Drozdoff, thank you for joining the Patreon.
Thanks so much. Yeah.
So eventually, like, the guy comes and opens up the studio and, like...
Yeah,
he and I fought to the death. No, I'm kidding.
There was murder involved, apparently.
There was some miscommunications around how an app works. It's fine.
Yeah.
But,
we got into the space.
At like 10:45, I was like, we still don't have Chris. We have the space until 11. I go to the guy. I'm like, hey, could we like rent an extra hour? And he's like, well, I let you in the space late. So yeah, fine. Just take it. I'm not going to charge you for it.
Yeah.
And then, so I go and get Chris and you at like 10:55.
That's when you were waiting outside. We left, I think it was like 11:10.
And so I grab them, drive them back to this like recording space that we're in. And
Christopher Paolini was in our car.
He was. And honestly, some of the best answers we got out of him, questions-wise, was in the ride. And it's stuff that we will never be able to talk about publicly. Which is like the weird part of being like a content creator, but also like trying to be a professional interview kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Is that like, I know a lot of things that I can't talk about. So we started recording at like 11.
I think it was 11:20. Yeah, somewhere in there.
And so we recorded until well past midnight. And the guy who was holding the space for us didn't say anything.
No, he just kind of like stood outside the door and waited. And it's like a glass door, so he was like there.
We could like see him, but...
Well, no, we finished the interview and we're like, cool. And I checked the time and it was 12:15. And Christopher had like 15 missed calls because he had a driver waiting for him.
Yeah.
And, you know... he's meeting strangers. People are like, are you alive? He's like, I gotta let them know that.
He brought a friend.
Yeah.
He brought a friend. He wasn't alone.
You're right. He did bring a friend.
He brought a friend.
Who was also very lovely, but hadn't finished Murtag yet, so he was like, la 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 for some of it.
It was one of those wild experiences where it went so wildly, but it kind of is perfect.
It's perfect, guys. I'm so happy with the interview. I'm glad that you guys have enjoyed it as well. We tried to ask some tougher, more in-depth questions, and really like we do on book club, kind of dive deeper than surface level and what happened. Yeah. And so hopefully we had a good balance of like heavier questions and more fun questions for the interview to be interesting. It is long. It didn't feel that long. Like, we could have kept going for, like, another hour. Like, there were so many questions in my head that we could have kept asking. And it's a good thing we ended when we did, because, you know, we definitely stayed over the space of time. And I apologized to the guys, like, hey, like, I can pay for the extra time. He's like, yeah, don't worry about it. So thank you. Shout out to you. You're not watching this, but I appreciate it.
I would love if he became a fan of the channel because of that.
That would be very.
But no, it was a wonderful night, and now we have like our like first like real podcast interview thing up on the channel, and I feel like we're legit now.
Yeah,
we've interviewed a New York Times bestseller. Yeah,
it was really cool, and like, the space worked out great. Like, I think it looks good. So thank you. Shout out to Brandon for helping us with that.
As always.
Truly, couldn't have done it without you. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the interview. Obviously, I know some of you can't watch it until you've read the book, but you better go back and watch it.
But that's our intro. That was a nice... Oh, only 13 minutes. This intro has not been that long.
Nah, we've had longer.
Any other housekeeping? Oh, Roleplay Relay 2. On November 25th from noon to 9 Eastern Standard Time here on this channel and on twitch.tv/nerdynightly.
Well, we're going to be killing Santa Claus for charity.
That's right.
There's some TTRPG madness going on. We have 16 players.
And we're all doing all of that to raise money for Cap for Kids, a charity that financially supports the families of children who have pediatric cancer. And so they are a wonderful charity. They're an incredible organization. And we're hoping to do some good this holiday season by raising some money for kids who deserve all of the support in the world.
Yeah, we're going to have some really fun incentives, some goals for the money raised. So make sure that you are you're paying attention to socials this week, because we're gonna be dropping those. There may or may not be some merch available for Christmas.
Merch for Christmas.
Shh, don't tell anyone. It's a surprise.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's gonna be Well, no, we don't have it yet.
I know. I don't know what it is.
Oh, don't worry about it. It's going to be fun. We're really excited to raise money. We're excited to play some D&D. And we're excited to hang out with you guys for a whole day. So book it off. It's a Saturday. You shouldn't be working anyways.
Breezy says, are you going to try and get more author interviews? Maybe Sanderson. Brandon Sanderson.
Would love that.
Anytime, any place. I would interview you every day.
Here's the thing. It's if someone sends him the interview that we did, be like, look, these guys, very professional. I feel like it looks good for us. Right? That interview
everybody
looks
tweet
good.
our Paolini interview at Brandon Sanderson and be like, you should be next.
We would love that.
I would love if our podcast was just us interviewing authors. Like, that would be a cool niche to fall into.
I thought about something like that for, like, a charity incentive for the stream, but I can't guarantee that, we don't have anything, like, lined
Brandon
up.
Sanderson, if you would like to be a goal on our stream.
On our charity stream.
We would love to interview Brandon Sanderson.
Yes.
But we would need your consent first. So
yeah, we're
someone
not
clip this and send this to him.
It'd be very weird if we were like, our goal is to interview Brandon Sanderson without asking him first, because then he's like, well, now what do I do?
All right. Well, let's get into Inheritance, because this book is thick.
She's thick.
I don't even know how we're really going to talk about all of it.
Thick as my face. Look at that.
Maybe we won't talk about all of it. How about this? Clarus? Here's what we're going to do. Clarus, you're going to recap the entirety of the book as fast as possible, and then we're just going to talk about it. Go.
Okay. Okay, so the Varden are fighting. There's a Pew Pew and Clash, and they steal some cities, and then they find this Dalthert that someone tries to use against Fear, which is going to be kind of very important later on. It's fun spear. Then they go into the next city and fight more cities, and everyone's like fighting their way to Urbane, and then Aragon realizes, oh shit, I can't defeat Galbatorix yet. So he goes and he talks to Solemnbum and like bullies him for a little bit, and Solemnbum's like, I don't know, I just told you the thing that I was told, and I don't know how I know the thing, but you go fuck off and you do it yourself. And then he realizes that the thing that he was told, no one else can remember, so he knows it's very important. So he flies to Vrongard and he finds a bunch of eggs in Eldunari, which Eldunari are the things inside the dragons that their consciousness can stay inside so that they live past when their bodies die. So they collect all of those things and like gather up their strength, and then they go and they fight Galbatorix and they kill him with kindness, and the spear that I said was important kills the dragon Shuriken, who is mad, and there was no saving anyways. And then the epilogue happens, and it's very long, and people go off and do their own things, and Myrte goes bye-bye, and Rorin builds a castle, and Aragon leaves forever, and Arya becomes a queen.
You skipped over so much that I thought you might throw in there, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's the gist of it?
Yeah.
That's the gist of it.
Yeah, you skipped over the part where Nasawada gets kidnapped, and then Aragon becomes leader of the Varden, and then never leads the Varden.
Oh, yeah, that's why I skipped it. Because, yeah. It is important, but you said as fast as possible, and so
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I included the Dalthert, which was probably less important than Nasawada getting captured,
but it's
it
such a
matter.
Cool word.
It is.
We should do that every book club. Is just
What?
Start with you having to say as fast as possible, because that's a good TikTok for us to put out. You know what I mean?
Thank you. I would honestly, look, like, I've got Brissinger on my wall, so I'm happy, but, like, getting a replica of the Dalthert that has, like, LED lights in it that glow, you know what I mean? Like, maybe I can hit
Or just have it be glow in the dark.
Maybe
so when you turn off the lights, it, like, glows green.
Oh, my God. That would be fun. Maybe I can hit up Jessica Negri and be like, I would like you to make me a prop, and I will pay you for it.
Sure.
She seems like she... Or Danielle.
I feel like Danielle was a better bet on that one.
Has the skills for that, for sure. But, like, could you imagine that hanging on the wall? Just, like, this, like, glowing, like, bar... Yeah, anyways.
I'm picturing it in Denver in February, you, like, leaning over in the hot tub and being like, hey.
So,
I need a spear.
I need a spear that glows?
Yeah, so we start... The book starts, much like the previous two books, with action.
Yes.
We go right into it in Bellatana, where we get the Dalthert Nirnin.
Yes, the orchid.
I found it interesting that Nirnin and Fernin, Arya's dragon from the end of this book, their names are so similar.
Spoilers.
You just capped the whole... That's why you just recapped the whole book. So
that's right.
No
I forgot
spoilers.
to mention that Arya becomes a dragon rider.
Arya does become a dragon rider.
Kind of important.
A little bit. So the spear... Which like becomes important.
Yeah.
And will continue to be important next week. Which is fun.
It is fun.
So we get this like sequence in Bellatona where the Varden are really cruising. Like the Empire's had 100 years to entrench itself, and like militarily, they're not great.
Yeah, a lot of the cities, and especially further away from Galbatorix, really don't like him. Like their will to fight.
Mm-hmm.
Like we find out that a lot of the soldiers don't give a shit about Galbatorix, but they have a mayor, leader, duke, or whatever like is in that city. The family that runs the city. A lot of people feel a lot of loyalty towards because they have done so much for them that because they're good people, which was interesting because obviously those people have to swear to Galbatorix, but they can within their bounds still care for the people around them, and so the soldiers are not fighting for Galbatorix. Some of them, sorry, I should say.
But even though it is that kind of thing of everyone is willing to fight within their oaths.
Yeah.
But no, the Varden kind of just win because the Varden are willing to fight to the end of their life.
Yeah.
And the citizens of the Empire only are really willing to fight within what they literally have to magically. And it creates this lopsided affair where even though the Varden are up against these impossible odds, taking a city is a very hard thing to do.
Yeah.
Walls are hard. Walls are good.
Yep.
Unless you put holes in them to shoot crossbows out of. So you end up in this weird situation where the Varden are toppling cities that they should not be able to topple simply because the other side is less interested in participating in the combat.
Yeah.
And it kind of narratively, in a backtracky way, makes the end of Eldest work a little bit better for me. That Murtagh is also in a similar position in that book.
Right.
In that, like, everyone in this empire is kind of willing to let the Varden win because they're not fighting as hard as the Varden are.
A lot of them, yeah. I'm sure there are definitely some people that feel that sense of loyalty, like, you know, they've never been wronged by the Empire Galbatorix, so like, you know, why would, of course they're going to fight the Varden. They've got these big scary Urgal monsters with them. But, yeah, it is more complicated than just, like, us versus them.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I'm loyal to this person because they have shown kindness and, like, towards me and my family and my ancestors in this city. And I love that it's not just about Galbatorix and, like, the top of the top. It's about all the people underneath of him who he is controlling, who then either are controlling the people under them with, like, magic or with kindness or with fear. They're all different tactics that are implied.
Yeah, and we get this interesting dynamic here where the battle ends, they take Bellatona, they have to leave some of their force behind to guard Bellatona because they can't trust anyone there because of the magical oaths. Even if people wanted to join the Varden, they can't, right? Yeah. So the Varden are in this weird position where they have to keep advancing, but they have to keep leaving a number of their troops behind, and they can't grow within the Empire. They can't take troops from the Empire, which is what a force like this typically would do, like a freedom fighter force would sort of... you know, Star Wars plays a lot with this in the media that isn't the movies, where Imperial forces keep defecting to the rebels, right?
Yeah.
Rebels talks a lot about this, and a lot of the books do. The Varden can't do that because of the way magical oaths work in this world.
Yeah.
And so you have this interesting, like, narrative heading into the final battle with Galbatorix, where the Varden's army keeps getting smaller, and there's nowhere that they can pull from. So there is this sort of, like... By the time we get to Urubane, Roran is talking about the fact that we have about 3 days of food.
Yeah.
And there's no reinforcements coming. So it is we have to do this now.
Yeah.
In every city. It's like, this is Naswada sends him to Aros to take the city.
Yeah.
And the idea of it is you have to take it by Sunday or else we're not going to get to Urubane before our food and supplies run out.
Yeah.
So, good luck.
Yeah, the stakes are always very high.
Yeah.
Because of it.
And so it does create an interesting sort of first half, second half of this book, where the lead up to the fight with Galbatorix, the stakes are so high.
Yeah.
And then the epilogue is so long, but there's no stakes in it. And so there is kind of an interesting sort of lull effect.
Yeah.
For how long the epilogue of this book is.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's why some people don't love it. I really enjoy it. I like to know what characters get up to after the story ends.
I liked it more this time than I did the first time I read it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. My feelings have definitely changed being, like, more of an adult. Because the first time I read the ending, I was like, what the hell? It's like, this is not happy.
Yeah.
Like, like I was like, I want my favorite characters to be happy, but it kind of ends the way that it has to. And even, you know, the moment I read it, I was like, and then I thought about it for 5 minutes, and I was like, no, it makes sense. But especially reading it again the second time, I was like, the pieces just fall where they're supposed to, in a very natural way, I think.
I also think that this is hard. So this week, we read all of Inheritance and all of Murtagh. So my brain is fried right now on Inheritance stuff.
Yeah.
And parsing through that. We read a lot of book in the last week.
Yeah. The interview was being filmed 2 days after the book came out, so we had to literally, like, speed run Murtagh.
And we couldn't get an advance copy, so we literally, like... I read half of Inheritance, then all of Murtagh, then the other half of Inheritance.
Yeah, same.
The ending of this book works better for me now that there is another book in the series.
Oh, okay.
Because if that was where the story ended for those characters, I would be a little bit like, if we never got anything else, I'm just kind of like, okay, where is the resolution? Yeah. Because it's interesting. I don't think the epilogue is a resolution.
No, and I don't think it was ever meant to be.
I don't either, right? But when I was, this came out in 2011?
I think so.
So when I was 19, not really getting a resolution for some of our characters, like they all just kind of get day jobs at the end of this. They go to like their corporate 9 to 5. Now that we know that there's like more of stories in this world and we're getting like what the like actual resolution of these characters are, I enjoyed this book more. Yeah. Knowing that Murtagh exists.
Yeah, I hear that.
Gordon Chen!
Gordon, thank you so much for 10 memberships.
Thank you for gifting 10 membos to the community.
Let's go. We're going to have an all-green chat. Thank you, Gordon. I appreciate that.
Because here's the thing. I will say the ending of this book works. Yeah. Structurally, it just wasn't my favorite at 19.
Yeah. 100%. I'm completely on board with you.
So, so they take Bellatona. Elaine's baby, Hope, is born. This is a really great scene. Yes. Aragon, she has a cleft lip, which is a really difficult thing in the past. Now, obviously, there's a lot that we can do about it. Yeah. But there's still many communities throughout the world that do not have access to the kind of surgical care that we have in North America. Yeah. And there are incredible charities that you can go donate to that do go and help with this. And part of the reason why it is so hard to deal with it is not like an appearance thing. And I think that a lot of people look at it as like, oh, it's a visual issue. Right. But that isn't like the main issue for babies in underserved communities. Keeping babies fed with that can be very difficult. Yeah. Keeping food in their mouth, right? And so it is an issue that can be life-threatening. Yeah. At a young age, and I appreciated the way this book dove into that. And the way that Aragon sits there all night and sings to her, so that her lip will heal. It was very cute. Yeah, it was beautiful. And like, you know, like everyone's like very worried. Like Elaine's journey, you know, all the way to the Varden and like being pregnant, like has already been so hard. Yeah, they're very worried about her. And at first you think that Elaine has died, right? Because like the women are keening, but when Aragon goes, Arya comes out and is like, you gotta do this. If I do it, they're gonna think that I replaced the baby with the change thing. Your people have some weird fucking stories about elves, so you have to be the one to fix this. I will be here for you, but like, there's nothing I can do without making her life worse. Yeah. Arzu, welcome back to the Nerd Table. The short stories are a better epilogue for Aragon as a character than the epilogue of this book. Interesting. There's some really interesting ones. I have not read them. So I'm excited to read the Fork. I'm going to read, because we've already read Murtagh, so I'm going to read The Fork, the Witch, and the Worm for the second Murtagh book. Or no, actually, it should be this week, because the Fork happens in the first half. Yeah, I would read it. It's easy. Oh, if you're joining us for Murtagh, stop at Nal Gorgoth for week 1, and then, or read the whole book. But we're going to stop at the Nal Gorgoth switch over.
Yes.
And if you haven't read the book yet, that doesn't mean anything, but you'll know what it means when you get there.
There's like the book is divided into parts.
Yeah.
So we're doing part 1 and 2, and then
there will be a page in your book that says Nal Gorgon.
Yes.
And then the next page.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that's spoilery to say that, right?
No, that's just the name of something.
Of a place.
Yeah.
It might be a spoiler if you like know Christopher Paolini's languages, but I don't. So I don't know if that means anything.
That's not even really, because Murtagh is like, in the language, this means this. Very strange. Like, it's not like, it's not a dead giveaway for anything. Murtagh is really cool. Read it.
So Roran goes to Aros, and
they do make an alliance with the Werecats.
Does that happen? Oh, I thought that happened in Dracena. Does that happen in Bellatona?
I thought it was like between.
Yeah, you're right. They show up after the Bellatona.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I was like,
we meet Grimmer. Angela cheeps him.
Yeah.
Which we find out is like kind of a funny story later on.
Yeah.
The Werecats treat it like it is the funniest thing in the world.
I don't know. He's very embarrassed about it.
Yeah.
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 Angela is a dick, but she's very funny. No, she's great. She's great. Honestly, like one of the best characters in anything ever. She's fantastic. But yeah, they make an alliance with the
one thing I do like about that story, though, is that she magically punishes Roran. Or sorry, she magically punishes Grimmer.
Yeah.
For the same reason that Roran fights the Urgals for like dominance. And it's like her and Roran have this like similar thing where they're like, hey, you can kill people, but don't torture them first.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I was like, where are you going with that? But no, that is correct, actually.
Fair, I guess. So Roran goes to Aros, and this is where Christopher Paolini is like, hey, he had to go get a summer job. And what do you learn at summer jobs? A new skill set. And so he finally gets to use the skill set. He learned milling for a summer, or for a winter, actually. Up in Therinsford. Yeah. And he uses the sluice gates. Here's what I will say about this. I am sure that this all makes sense.
Yeah.
My understanding of what a sluice gate is this much.
Yeah, exactly. So I just like trust that like it works because I don't know.
It's one of those things I was like, yeah, sure. Yeah. That works.
Yeah, it happened. It was in the book and it was written, so obviously it makes sense.
I'm sure Christopher Paolini did more research than I am about to.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Have no idea how this works because I don't understand the physics and things involved, but it's cool. It's fun. Basically, Naswada is like, look, you kind of have to take Aros, otherwise you have to send Aragon and Saphira, and that's just going to really fuck us up. Yeah. So, like, you better get it done. And Roran is like, this is impossible. But wait!
This is where, though, the stakes of the Galbatorix fight are set up, and I think that it's really brilliant to do this in a scene that Aragon isn't in. Yeah. Where Karn gets into the first real magician's battle that we've seen, right? All the other ones have had like fucking Eldunaris or elves or all of this external shit. Yeah. This is the kind of first one we see that goes really poorly. Yeah. And involves just like two people using regular magic at each other in this world. Yeah. And it's such a strong scene. Karn's death is really impactful. Horrifying. But of their deaths. So emotional. Yeah. Yeah. Like, and the enemy magician as well, because, like, Karn explodes, basically. Like, the two of them, they do the mental battle thing, which we're told is, like, you know, very important because otherwise you're both just gonna die, which is kind of what happens here. But, like, Karn overtakes the magician, and the magician retaliates. Well, because Roran distracts the magician for a second. Yeah. For just 1 second, and so Karn's able to get in through his defenses. Yeah. And in the like moment before he just seizes control of the enemy magician's brain, that magician says, "Well, fuck it." Right? Yeah. You're going down. I'm going down too. And like, the square erupts. You're going down. Yeah. This scene is so good. Yeah. Like it really hits. For Karn is not the biggest character in the series, right? No, but I love him. For what he does and for what he represents and what he like teaches the audience about this world, what a fucking like 10 out of 10 side character. Bamf.
Yeah.
If I could play a character in the TV show, I would want to be Karn.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That's fair.
Because I'm not big enough. I'm not like famous enough to book a big part. You know what I mean? I know that. But like, if I could be Karn for 4 episodes,
you could be Nargarshvog.
You know I would.
I know.
I would show up for that makeup job every fucking day.
I know, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Chris, we're friends now, right? We hung out.
We're friends.
I will. Can I be an Urgle? No, I don't even need to be Nargarshvog. I'll be Ugragra.
You can be Yarbog.
I'll be Yarbog.
Yeah, you get to arm wrestle with, or not arm wrestle. But
yes.
You get to oil wrestle.
Oil me, Chris. Oil me up. Slap me around. Wait, that sounds like a Saturday night.
That would be, honestly, Yarbog would be such a fun random role if they keep that moment in. But I think that they would have to. Mm-hmm. For sure, yeah. But yeah, Karn does this, like...
He's so good. It's such a cool character.
Yeah. Karn does this, like, horrific thing where Roran gets, like, mad. He's like, this guy killed Karn, and he goes over, and the guy doesn't move.
Yeah.
And he realizes that all the water is just leaking out of this man. There's, like, a puddle underneath of him, and he shrivels up into dust. And it, like, that visual... He does horror so well. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, God. Just awful, horrifying. In the best way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The human rays in effect. And so they take Aros. And then he goes back to the Varden and is like, I did it. And Oswaldo's like, that's fucking crazy.
I didn't think you were going to do that.
Great. Come to Dras Leona.
Yeah.
We gotta go fight, the fucking crazy cult people.
Yeah. There's a lot of crazy cult people in this world.
Yeah, and so in Dras Leona, the plan is to sneak in and break the door out from the inside.
Jode finds a secret entrance, because that's what he's really good at.
Yeah.
He's really good at reading obscure text and putting together pieces of information that other people would easily overlook, which is how he and Brom were able to steal Saphira's egg.
See, this is why Jode and I are the same person, though, is because I watch content and I pick out all of the things that everybody else misses, and then they get mad at me for it.
You're like, I'm observant. I don't know what the problem is here.
Attack on Titan is bad.
Wow. You know that's going to get clipped. Whatever. It's over now. Anymore. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So
for the people who love it, I'm so glad that you like it. I'm just making jokes because it's like so successful that who gives a shit what I think.
Yeah, no one actually cares that we don't like it.
Worden dies in a trap. And we get into the, there's lots of torture in this series part of the book.
Yeah, so it turns out these tunnels that Jode found are actually definitely being used by the priests of Helgrind.
Yeah.
They're getting in and out of these no problem. Aragon and Saphira get captured. Angela kind of gets captured and disappears as well. Yeah, she gets, like, taken away by a bunch of, like, soldiers, and it's fine. She comes back. She's, like, literally no one can hurt Angela. Aragon and Arya are about to be sacrificed to the next Razak eggs.
Yeah.
Gross. Disgusting. The priest of Helgrind, who is, like, a torso, is like, you don't deserve this honor, but your flesh will feed the old ones. And then they leave them there, shackled up, and the eggs start hatching. And I hate this.
I love this scene. It's so good.
So uncomfy. It is. No, it is good. It's fantastic. But, like, no.
Well, but it gets
Nightmare
into, like...
fuel.
It gets into what we talked about so much in Wheel of Time, where I wanted stakes, right?
Yeah.
And there's something really satisfying about Karn's death into Worden's death, and like the way in which these characters are dying because of the war that they are in.
Yeah.
We get Hrothgar,
it's a dangerous place.
Later on we get Queen Islandi. Like this series kills characters in front of our heroes in a way that like emotionally is based on their failures or on like the ways in which they fuck up.
Yeah.
And like there is the argument that you can make similar to Wheel of Time, that in this final book they kind of run through all of the fights. And they kind of win all of the fights. And they do. I will agree with that. But in the first 3 books, they don't.
Yeah.
And so I don't necessarily think that it's quite the same.
Yeah.
But when we get to like this, suddenly, stop the action. Our characters are chained up and a horrifying thing is happening.
Yep.
And they barely get out of it.
Oh, barely.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely would not.
Mohammed, thank you so much for that super chat.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it weren't for Angela, they would all be fucked. Literally, Angela is the best.
Yeah.
First of all,
but they're gonna fucking break their hands to get their fucking hands out of the goddamn cuffs.
That's Aragon is like, okay, if I break my hands, I think I can get it out. And as he's about to do it, Arya is already 3 steps ahead, and she breaks one of her wrist thumbs. I don't know.
So here's the thing. So if you are in this situation and you need to do this, don't break your thumb. What you want to do is dislocate your thumb.
Sure.
Because if you break the bone, that's worse. But if you can just get the right tension on your hand this way, you can pop the thumb out of its socket, and then you'll be able to slide, as long as you can get over this bone, which most handcuffs nowadays you won't be able to. This really only works on manacles that can't be resized as much as our handcuffs nowadays can. But if you can get over that bone, if you can get to like here, which is where your thumb joint usually stops it, if you dislocate your thumb, you can get your hand out.
Okay, well, good to know, just in case you ever get shackled to a wall and being sacrificed to the Razak.
Their plan might have worked.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, Angela just comes in and saves the day. But
yeah, there is some kid who comes in at first, is like, get me out of here.
Yo, Muhammad is from Malaysia.
Oh, shit.
Let's go, Malaysia.
Oh.
Thank you for coming in.
Yeah,
I want to go to
that.
Malaysia.
One day. Nicholas,
that should be part of Roleplay Relay 2. Please super chat your Attack on Titan opinions for charity.
Oh my god. Hey, we'll take it.
Breezy says, have you had to escape from shackles before? No, I've only ever been shackled by consent.
You weren't trying to escape.
Maybe in the middle there I was like pulling on it a little bit, but I wasn't actually trying to escape.
No.
I was having fun.
It's for fun.
Yeah. The audience was having a good time. It was a weird night. Oh, Tokyo.
Oh, Tokyo. Okay, I would have guessed New York, but who knows?
I mean both, but...
There's a kid who comes in and is like, please get me out of here, and is utterly useless. And he's about to literally kill Aragon.
Hey.
What?
Hey. Listen.
What?
Listen. If I'm about to get eaten alive by baby Razaks, I give you permission to murder me. Okay? I'm just saying this right now. I would rather be stabbed in the face, straight up, no joke, than eaten alive.
Yeah, but like Aragon still hasn't tried the breaking his hands trick yet. So.
Sure. And I hear you. 100% hear you. This kid is not wrong.
Yeah, I get his train of thought.
It's sort of like how I'm not mad at them for killing Shrukin, because Shrukin's life is hell.
Yeah.
And like Shrukin is already mad. If Galbatorix had died and Shrukin hadn't, Shrukin would have just felt the pain of that loss and still been mad.
Yeah.
Like killing Shrukin is a kindness. Killing Aragon in this moment, if he wasn't going to get out, would have been a kindness. And I agree with that child 1,000%.
Oh yeah, for sure. But it's fine because Angela shows up and gets him out. And gives Aragon her sword to use, Tinkle Death. Very cool. Love that.
It's all biter.
It's Tinkle Death.
Do you want Tinkle Death too?
I would love that.
I would not trust us to have a sword that sharp in our house.
Well, no, you don't actually have it that sharp.
But I'm so clumsy.
No,
that,
you
like,
don't.
if I were to fall near it, I know I would cut my whole body in half.
Why would you keep it that sharp? You just make it look nice.
Good point.
It is, what is it? The epitome of an inclined plane or something? I don't know.
Sure.
Science, math.
It was one of those things where I was like, yeah. It sounded like the
so.
subtle knife from His Dark Materials.
Yeah. Anyways, really cool sword. There was somebody online I saw who made it.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I want to see an image of Albiter.
Yeah, I definitely saw someone share it like several years ago where it does look like clear glass. It's very cool.
Oh, a clear glass one would be a cool display.
Yeah. Oh, and it's meant for display. But yeah, someone made like this like glass. I don't know if it's even made out of glass, but yeah, right? I don't know if that was the one that I saw.
I kind of love it.
It's really cool. It's really,
you know what?
Really
this
cool.
looks like it was printed out of the same thing our calendar was printed out of.
No, that one's more clear. Calendar is kind of like opaque. Like
this one though. This one looks a little bit like.
Yeah. Yeah, anyways.
It kind of looks like
super
Sting.
Cool. Yeah, true. Yeah. I would love...
Oh my
god,
god, wait, I want Arvinder. The purple one?
Oh, yeah, that's sick.
Sorry, chat, we're just looking at swords.
Looking at swords. Don't worry about it. Obviously, these are not to scale because Brissinger is larger than Zarok, but that's fine.
Is Brissinger larger than Zarok?
Yeah, Zarok is a one-handed sword, and Brissinger is a hand and a half, and Zarok is a one-handed sword. Fun fact.
Arzu, thank you for that super chat for the all-biter Doubter fun.
Thank you, Arzu. Appreciate that.
We like weapons.
We're gonna have a whole armory one day.
We already do.
Yeah, I just mean, we're gonna have one room that's like dedicated.
We own 5 swords, 7 lightsabers, an axe, Kalendor, 3 daggers, a bow. Like, how many more weapons do you need for an armory?
I need more. I need many more.
All right. So they take Dros Leona. They get to like the fucking. They get their shit back, except the belt of Beloth the Wise, which is just fucking gone.
Yeah, the belt disappears, which is fine. Saphira fucking kicks Thorn's ass.
Yeah.
Like Saphira is like, you fucking little runt, I'm gonna show you how a real dragon fights, and just annihilates him.
As she should, right? Like, they're in this position where Thorn is only a match for Saphira because of Eldunari strength. Mm-hmm. But in terms of training, Thorn is... which we learn a lot about in Murtagh, so get ready for Murtagh.
Yes.
Thorn is basically kept underground. He's shackled most of the time, right? Like, this is a dragon, and sorry if that's a little bit of a spoiler for Murtagh, but it's not. It's a spoiler for a flashback scene in Murtagh that has already happened by this point in this book.
And it's also, like, very much implied that, like, they are slaves, basically. Like,
but in terms of training, like, it doesn't, like, Thorn isn't out there on the battlefield training against a large dragon all the time.
Yeah.
Right?
If Shrukin fought him, Shrukin would just kill him.
How would he train against Shrukin?
Shrukin is too mad to understand not to kill him.
And Thorn didn't get to grow into his body properly.
Yes.
And so Saphira has this
augmented.
massive advantage over Thorn that has only up until now been offset by the Eldunari that Murtagh rides into battle with.
Yes, definitely.
And
I loved getting to see that.
Rural Flora, have you never seen our calendar? Wait, let me grab it.
It's right over there with our Wheel of Time map on the wall.
Oh, everyone just saw I'm wearing my Grogu pajama pants. It gets so hot in here I can't wear real pants when we do the show because it's 3 hours. This is Kalendor.
It does glow under black light, which is
what
very
am I doing
cool.
Here? Yeah, so this is our Kalendor.
Mm-hmm. She's cute.
Yeah, she's like opalescent, but somewhat see-through.
Yeah, it's made out of like a flexible resin, so it's not breakable, which is nice. But it will warp.
Yeah.
So you do have to like keep it stored, kind of.
Yeah, we wanted
flat.
the sword from the cover, and so Dangerous Ladies, the incredible team there, they designed this and printed it and sanded it and made it all pretty for us.
Yeah, it's very cool
for your Randall Thor cosplay.
Yeah, gotta shoot that. I definitely gotta shoot that. Nicholas, welcome back to the nerd table. Angela told her name to the head of the priest before killing him. Oh, yeah. She's like, if you knew who I was, you wouldn't have fucked around, because now you're about to find out. And, they find out. Yeah. Angela, I don't know what Angela has been up to for the last couple hundred years, but...
100?
I said couple hundred. I don't know.
Easily 1,000.
We don't know how old Angela is. We have no idea where she comes from.
She's older than Islanzadi.
Why do you think that?
I think she's older than Islanzadi.
Okay. I'm not like saying you're wrong.
For some reason I think that she remembers Islanzadi when she was a kid, but I might be making that up.
I don't remember that. But I don't know.
She stayed with the elves in Dueldenvarden before Arya was born.
True.
So she's at least 100.
Yeah. But Islanzadi is like much older, like you know. Yeah.
She's known as Moon Eater by the Urgagra.
Yeah. I'm like, what is she Lanfear?
No. She's the least horny person alive.
Fair enough. That we know of.
I mean, like, I feel like Angela and Solemnbaum, there's something there.
I don't know about that.
I don't know that they touch, but I think that they masturbate in the same room.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Masturbation.
Yeah, I think she's got like a little vibrator and then...
Yeah, and they're like, yeah get it. Have fun.
Yeah, they watch porn together on the mirror.
I don't know. I like the idea that Angela is Lanfear.
She just, like, isn't in any way Lanfear, though.
No, I know. But Moon Eater, that just, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's all. Yeah, I don't know what Moon Eater means. Like...
She ate the moon.
Yeah, I'm so curious. I want more Angela stories. I don't know if we're going to get those. I think the mystery of Angela is appealing for people.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Christopher, in the interview, he said, like, there's going to be several more books.
I will also say that keep your eyes out, because there is an Angela reference in Murtagh that Clarice missed.
I did, actually. I missed it. Yeah.
Because you gotta. It's a big brain thing to find, but Angela does have a little reference.
Yeah.
That you need to keep an eye out for in that book.
Yeah. So, anyways, they take Drasteona, Thorne and Murtagh fly away. Aragorn and Arya get fucking wasted, and in the middle of that, Murtagh and Thorne...
I thought they were about to fuck. I was like, God damn.
They might have.
I was like, do I not remember Arya and Aragorn just boning down in the middle of this novel?
No, because Murtagh and Thorne cockblock Aragorn, and they come and they kidnap Naswada.
Yeah.
And take her towards Arubin. Very bad, no good time for Naswada.
Aragorn is then appointed the leader of the Varden. And then he goes for a walk.
Bye.
And it's like, I gotta leave. And they're like, Aragorn, we fucking just made you the leader. And he's like, guys, go straight to Urubane. Don't worry about it. I'll be there in like 6 days.
Yeah.
Get the Urubane. I'll be there in like 6 days. Even though it should take them like 3 months to get to Urubane. But it doesn't matter.
No, the world's not that big. On Dragonback?
Moving a force. No. They should be able to get there.
Oh, you mean the army?
Moving an army to Urubane should take at least a month. Just real.
They're not that far away, though.
It isn't about distance. It is about moving an army. It's not like moving a regular force of people.
Yeah, okay. I don't know. I wouldn't know.
They gotta go from there to there.
Yeah.
They gotta cross a river. Do you know how long it takes to get an army across a river?
I'm assuming they just went around.
It takes like 4 days.
But, yeah. But yeah, like it only takes them a couple days to get to each like city, so at least they're evenly spaced out enough that it makes sense.
100%. I understand that the book says it takes them a couple days to get from city to city. It doesn't.
I wouldn't know.
If you're moving 100,000 people, it just takes time. There's just like logistical elements of moving a force that large that this book is like, we're not going to deal with it because this isn't what this book is about.
Yeah.
But that Robert Jordan would have spent like 6 books trying to describe in great detail the way Perrin sniffed every single soldier who was on the journey with them.
And how the different arrangements of the tents would be changed each day they camped.
I feel like talking to me about Wheel of Time is an insane experience of trying to figure out whether or not I liked it. Because on the one hand, I defend the books and the way that the story should be adapted for the show so hard. Mm-hmm. And then on the other hand, I also shit on the books so often.
I think that makes us true Wheel of Time fans. Like, I think that you have to be a Wheel of... Like, to be a Wheel of Time fan... I'm so defensive
of a story that I don't know that I like that much.
Yeah. You have to love-hate it. Uh-huh. There is no in-between. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, Aragorn...
Speaking of Wheel of Time, tomorrow is the first What Wednesday.
Yeah.
So at 11 a.m., our reader rewatch of Season 1, Episode 1 will go live. And then at 6 p.m., Season 2, Episode 1 will go live. There's 2 Wheel of Time videos going on the channel tomorrow.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
We didn't want to drag it out forever, so...
Hopefully we'll be done by the end of the year.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of videos going up on the channel.
We might also do Wheel of Time Sundays so that we're done in a month. We're trying to figure it out. Because we'll see. Now, if we put it out every Wednesday, we are still putting out Wheel of Time videos in mid-January.
For 8 weeks, I know. Yeah.
Yeah,
we'll see.
We'll
Honestly,
see.
I don't know. Yeah.
We might just want to get it up.
We have so many videos, guys.
I know.
So many videos.
But also, like, a lot of them, I don't know that people care about, so it's tough.
It's weird. I was like, no one's going to give a shit if we release Ahsoka or not. But I've seen lots of comments on our videos being like, I'm so excited to watch your Ahsoka reactions. And I'm like, oh no.
James Colony says, oh good, more half-heard misremembered tutorials by nerdy spoken with absolute confidence.
Exactly.
Wow, fuck you, James.
Hey, we're here to have a good time, and that's what matters.
So Aragorn flies to the Rock of Kuthian, which him and Sphere can remember, but Arya and Glader can't. So
they're like, well, this is suspicious.
Don't be suspicious.
Obviously, we have to check it out.
Yeah, so they check it with Solemnbomb. They fly. They meet a water dragon person from fucking One Piece.
A Nidwall?
Yeah, Sea King, as they're called in One Piece.
I thought it was Gyarados.
Oh, that's funny. And they get all the way to Rowengard. Mm-hmm. There are people living on Rowengard somehow, even though it's poisonous.
Yeah.
But also there are snails that are delicioso.
Yes, snails, very tasty.
And shadow owl things that are a genuine nightmare.
Yeah. They like chitter like squirrels, but not quite. Very confusing. Arazu, thank you so much for 5 gifted memberships.
Thank you, Arazu. That's very kind of you. But then we get
Appreciate
sort of the story of 2 burrow grubs. One, in the soothsayer's lair, or whatever. Remember that, chat, for no particular reason.
The Hall of the Soothsayer?
Don't remember that, but don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Doesn't come back in this book. So Murtagh and Galbatorix are just kind of torturing Naswada, and she's crushing it with her mental defenses. She murders her fucking jailer dude, even though he didn't really do anything to her. But, like, you know, she had to try and escape. Yeah. She didn't get very far, but she killed 3 people.
Yeah,
Impressive.
That's not nothing.
And then Galbatorix brings in the burrow grubs, which is everybody's favorite part of the inheritance cycle.
Everyone's worst nightmare, I think, is what you mean.
It's a grub that turns into many grubs, and it just crawls around inside you.
Yep. Disgusting.
And leaves little tracks under your skin of all the places it's been.
It reminds me of the vampire facial that I got, and I hate it.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh, gross.
Yeah. If this is TMI, I'm so sorry. Like, just skip for like 5 minutes. But
5 minutes? What? Okay,
no,
well, you're going
like
in
2
detail.
minutes. Like 2 minutes. I got this. It's called a vampire facial, but it's also called something else. I don't remember. But they like take your blood and they like spin it, and they get the plasma from it, and they inject it into your face to like help with your skin. And I was like, sure, yeah, try that. Why not? My skin is very thin. And so if they injected the way that they normally inject it, it would have like bruised and like been like not great. And they're like, don't worry about it. There's another method. So you'll be fine. Just relax. And okay, this is where you want to like skip for 30 seconds if you get weirded out easily.
Arzu's probably muted us.
I'm so sorry. They take the needle and they put it under your skin and they slide it around under your skin to inject it. And it was the most horrifying experience. It was worse than the LASIK that I got. It was heinous. I would never do it again. They were like, yeah, you should probably come back and do it 3 months and then another 3 months later. And I was like, nope. So never doing that again. But that's what the burrow grubs reminded me of, because it's just like under your... It's awful. Hate it. Naswada, I feel like I understand like a small, tiny piece of what you went through, and I'm so sorry, because that was hell.
But it doesn't break Naswada.
Nah, because she's a bamf.
And then on Rowengard, Aragon finds burrow grubs living in a bush. Which means that, like, you know, what's his butt? Galbatorix, he goes back there every once in a while, because we learned that the world of Rowengard has changed because of the amount of magic released in the big final fight there.
Yeah.
And so the burrow grubs are this monstrosity that was created by wild magic in the area.
Yeah. They're like, they're wrong. Like, they feel wrong. And we learned that...
But they're intelligent, because Galbatorix can communicate with them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. I don't know how intelligent they are, because, like, Braum is able to communicate with, like, a bird to be like, come here, I'm not going to hurt you.
Yeah, but Galbatorix says not there, which means they're intelligent enough to, like...
They understand... Oh, no, yeah, because that's not the ancient language. Yeah, I don't know. They definitely have to have some kind of intelligence, I guess. So, yeah. Yeah,
I don't like it.
So there's like an elf that like exploded themselves on Rowengard Island, and we find out afterwards that it was on purpose.
Yeah.
To try and
cover this up,
dissuade people from exploring too much.
Well, and to cover up the hiding of this space, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
So Aragon is checking all this out while he's just trying to figure out how to get into the Rock of Kuthian, because he's got to speak his true name.
Yep.
And they take 3 days, and Saphira figures hers out, and Aragon's like, fuck, why didn't I get my name first? And part of the reason is he didn't get his name first is because he's trying to figure out Saphira's true name before her. And it's like, Aragon, if you had just focused on yourself instead of trying to beat Saphira, if you weren't so goddamn competitive... You might have won.
Yeah,
and it's a
that's
lesson we
it.
all need to learn. Sometimes being more competitive does not help you win. In fact, it does the opposite, and it makes it harder for you to win.
Sometimes, yeah.
Lesson learned. And so we get Aragon climbing a tower. He breaks rocks for like 5 hours. Aragon does the equivalent of like...
Fights some snails.
A 12-year-old boy.
I mean, he's only like 17, so not that far off.
I know, but this just very much feels like me and my friends when we were 12 in our community. Like, we're going to go into the woods, and we're going to go be men in the woods. And we went and, like, cut down a tree for no reason.
Yeah, but, like, you know, people still make, like, woodcutting TikToks. Like, it's very, very relaxing for people.
But, so, yeah, he does the, like, male spirit quest.
Yeah, he fights a snail and he just keeps like jumping out of its way. He's like, boo boo, like you're too slow.
And then he climbs a tower and he realizes what his true name is. Mm-hmm. And we don't get to find out what it is, but
yeah, we don't learn anyone's true name
or the name of names. Because it would give the readers of the books too much power.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. It is deliberately kept secret, which I understand.
Which is just a respectful thing for Christopher Paolini. It's him showing respect to his characters. And I can get behind that.
Yeah. I think, you know, some people were like, cop out. But I don't think that is the case. I think it is more interesting for the audience to fill in that blank.
Yeah.
But yeah, the true names of people is always... I've always found it one of the more interesting and unique parts of this series.
100%. I agree with that.
Very, very cool.
It's one of the things that I really do love about the concept of the magic system.
Yes. No. Yeah.
And so they go into the Vault of Souls, where there's like a mecha man dragon person.
Yeah.
And that is literally a Eldunari with a body. And there's just a part of me that's kind of like, why don't we just build an army of this?
I don't know if it can be, like, replicated.
Why? They did it once.
Wait, it's not an Eldunari. No, it's like a construct, I thought.
Yeah, and it's powered by an Eldunari.
Oh,
it's one of the dragons. That's why it has a dragon head.
Yeah, but...
Because what else could power it, right? An Eldunari. But, like, what if we just... Okay, so, like, all of these dragons, their bodies die, and they're like, fuck, I would like to have a body. What if we just built them all bodies, and then we just have mecha dragons? Oh my god, Christopher Paolini, the sequel I want, 500 years later.
It's Transformers.
There's, like, technology in Allegasia, right? And we have mecha dragon people walking around. That's some D&D shit, and I fucking love it.
Oh, wow.
Powered, and they open their chest up, and it's, like, the heart of the dragon.
I mean, look, it would be fun, but I don't know about the consequences for everybody else.
Well, but the fun thing about them is that they can't use magic, right? So they're not spellcasters.
Not necessarily.
They could
use... dragons can still enact magic.
Yes, but they can't they can't cast spells with the specificity that other people could. So they wouldn't be the most overpowered people, is what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. But like mecha dragon people would be pretty cool.
Yeah. Feel like, yeah, they would need their own, like, island.
And then we could have a rider who's a dragon riding a dragon. So it could be a dragon ridden by a mecha dragon.
I don't think dragons can bond one another.
You don't need the bond. You're both dragons already. You just need a wild dragon that wants to have a rider. They're the opposite. Oh my god, they're the opposite of the Razak. The Razak grow up and become a ride for their kids. The dragons carry their dead parents around in mecha dragon bodies.
Oh my god.
I think that sounds pretty fucking rad.
That does definitely turn things on its head. You know, we'll send our ideas to Chris.
So Umaroth is there. Umaroth is the dragon, the white dragon that was bonded to Varail.
Yes.
And he's like, yo, we're gonna give you some Eldunari. There's a bunch of eggs here. The dragons are saved, but, like, we're gonna make you forget about that when you leave.
Yep.
We're coming with you, though, the Eldunari. We're gonna help you. The eggs are gonna stay here in secret, so that Galbatorix doesn't know about them. But let's go fight. Let's ride. Bronco's country, let's ride. And so they wing out, and they fly to Urbane.
Yeah, Umaroth teaches Aragon this, like, really cool, complicated spell. that creates a pocket dimension for the Eldunari to stay
Sure.
in. And Aragon is like, okay, but like, how does this work? And they all tried to explain it to him for like 3 hours, and he's like, look, I still don't fucking get it. And they're like, you know what? We'll worry about this later. Which I thought was very funny, because I was like, yeah, how does this work? I also do love that all like the old Eldunari are trying to impart their like half-mad wisdom onto Aragon before they get there. But, was it... No, it wasn't Belgabad. That was the biggest one.
Belgabad did not. His Eldunari did not survive.
No. The oldest one. What's his name? The oldest dragon who imparts the visuals of, like, the birds. And
I can't remember
the care of them.
Yeah, the old one.
Yeah. Can't remember his name.
Yeah.
Yeah, can't remember his name. It'll come to me later. But Aragon is like, this doesn't really make any sense to me, but sure, I'm gonna hang on to that for later. That never comes back. Snatch. So they get to Urbane. And, yeah, they're like, hey, Elva, you better come with us. And Elva's like, you know what, yeah, I should have came with you last time, but I didn't. So I feel bad about it.
Elva, you should come with us so that you can be there.
Well, to be fair, their whole plan revolves around Elva, and Galbatorix knows about her, so their plan is moot. Like they fully improvise the ending of the series. Obviously, Paolini doesn't, but the characters are like, well, everything went to shit. So
which
now
is
what
how
do we
it
do?
should be.
Oh yeah, always. Plans are only plans until the plan starts, and then they're forgotten ideas that don't matter anymore.
So they come up with this scheme where Roran everyone else is going to attack the city with a like hologram Saphira, and Aragon, Arya, and the elves are going to sneak into the city, and they're going to go fight Galbatorix while all this is going down, while Thorn is busy chasing a hologram around. And this mostly works. They break into the city, they get into the Citadel, and that's where things kind of start to fall apart, right? Yeah. The siege of the city is going very well, too well, because
suspicious.
Galbatorix just like lets them in, basically, which I hold not a good strategy.
No.
They could have held the walls of Urbane so much better than they do hold the streets of Urbane. Even though I get that Bast can
Barst, yeah.
Bast.
Lord Barst.
Wait, there's an R in that name?
Yeah.
Fuck, I'm dyslexic.
You listened to this, though.
I read it as well.
Did you?
Yeah, whenever there was, like, action that I don't understand, I, like, pull up the book.
Barst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
I pull up the book when it's, like, I'm like, wait, what the fuck just happened?
Happening? Yeah, fair.
Because sometimes when I'm hearing it, I can't really get it.
I have a feeling Lord Barst was like, nah, fucking let me at him. I want to break some necks.
I know, but Barst, you could have held the walls better than you held the streets, man. You really lost on, like, a strategy that every military person knows not to do. Because you got cocky.
Yeah.
And also, you got hit by catapults.
Yeah, well, and he proves to be a problem, right? Because he has an Eldunari.
A little bit.
He's got an Eldunari, like, in his belly. People are like, wow, he really likes beer. But no, it's actually an Eldunari in his armor, which is the craziest visual. Because, like, he's probably, like, very fit and just has this, like, bulging, like... Yeah. He is pregnant with an Eldunari. And it is what is fueling his, like, supernatural strength. He is wrecking everyone. Literally, nobody can touch him. All the soldiers... Which I think is
interesting, just because Murtagh, with many Eldunari, was physically on par with Aragon, who has elf strength. This guy's got one Eldunari, no rider strength, just human plus Eldunari, and he's, like, taking out his Lazandi. And so I'm like, how old was that dragon? Right? Like, what Eldunari did he have? Because he had his one Eldunari is better than all of Murtagh's Eldunari plus Murtagh's dragon strength.
Yeah, right? Because Murtagh also... The Eldunari make up for Murtagh not being an elf. So...
Well, and the bond strength that he gets.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't get, like, super strength. Like Braum is like you'll be a little bit like a little faster, a little bit stronger than the average human.
Yeah, but that's still.
But it doesn't get you to like elf level. So
No, but I'm just saying that like his one Eldunari overcomes.
Yeah.
A huge.
And I think it is the combination of Eldunari plus wards that Galbatorix has put on him. Because, like, no one can land a blow, and he's also super fucking strong and
he's
terrifying.
Definitely not Sauron. He just has a big black mace.
Yes. Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
It is. This is very much the opening scene of The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
where he's just swinging and there's just people flying.
People everywhere. Yeah. That is kind of what it is.
100%. Isla Zadi goes in there. And she fucking dies. Everyone's upset because the queen is dead. And then they pepper him with, like, big ballista shit. And then Roran, the normal dude who's, like, he, like, cuts off his hand.
Well, and here's the thing.
It is the opening of the Lord of the Rings.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. Roran is like, okay, shit, we obviously can't beat this guy just by running at him. Mm-hmm. Like, we're failing by doing the same thing over and over again. That's dumb. So we're gonna throw a bunch of rocks on top of this guy to hopefully exhaust the strength of the Eldunari so that we can actually hurt him. And it works. It does, like those...
Well, kind of. They do that, and then they jump on him, and they slash at him for like 20 minutes.
It still takes some time.
And then he beats the shit out of Roran's left side, and then Roran gets a final killing blow.
Yeah. The Eldunari finally, like, exhausts and, like, breaks, and
Barst is like, no elf could kill me, and Roran goes, but I am no elf, and then he stabs him through the helmet, and then white light, and then Barst, like, crimples in on himself.
So wait, is he the Witch King, or is he Sauron?
Both, kind of.
Gotcha.
But no, he breaks the, we get the light moment because he breaks the Eldunari, and the light shoots out of his chest.
True.
So, like,
True.
It's all there.
Nice little reference.
It's like poetry, it rhymes. And so, yeah, we get, it's a pretty epic fight. Isla Zadi's fight's great. Like, the sequence of it is all really fun.
Yeah, it's well done.
There's some really, really, like, sexy action writing here.
I love that Blogden actually, like, contributes.
Well, and I think that when they adapt this for the TV show, it's going to be fun because there's something boring about the visualization of the Citadel fight between Galbatorix and Aragorn. They're kind of just standing there looking at each other.
Right.
But to be able to cut that with the action outside is going to allow this to have a lot of motion. And I'm hoping that they don't feel the need to make the Citadel scene more action heavy than it already is. Because they do have this, like, battle to cut to that is fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch the, like... What's... Not comparison. That's not the right word. But, like, having both of those things... happening simultaneously. You can do a lot of creative stuff with that, and I'm looking forward to it.
So inside the Citadel, Elva helps them evade all the traps because she's like, okay, step there. No, you have to, like, really think, like, you have to, like, actually go for it.
Yeah.
And Aragorn's like, how do you? But I know that I'm not. Wait, fuck.
Yeah.
So they eventually get past the traps.
Gotta commit.
Except for one that Elva misses because it's not going to harm them. It just traps the elves. And so the 12 elven spellcasters don't get to go into the final boss room with them. It's like every single video game where they're like, we got to take away some of the superpowers that you have for the final fight so that it's still hard.
Pretty much, yeah. So they all get...
They use up all of Aragorn's ammo before he gets into the final fight so that he has to be creative with it.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, they get to Galbatorix. Shuriken, really big. Really
they
fucking
think that there's, like, giant drapery around the room. Nope, just Shuriken's wings.
Just his wings.
Just his wings.
Yeah. He is, like, gargantuan.
Yeah.
And he is so mad.
Yeah.
Like, he is the epitome of hate and violence, and I just feel so bad.
Nicholas Cardio does bring up the elves' weapons are used to stop the trap. And so they break all of those elven weapons.
Yeah.
Arya's sword.
Magic.
Or what is Arya going to do without her weapon?
Oh, no. Yeah, that moment, that was a really cool moment.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that we had a little bit more information on each of those weapons.
Just like a list?
No, I just mean
a glossary at the back of the book?
No, I just mean, like, I wish, like, you know, in the telling of, like, a story or something, there had been a mention of, like, maybe one of them. Because Arya's like, you know, these are all storied weapons. And I'm like, well, okay, if you say so.
Sure.
Right, like we didn't actually get to know anything about them, which is fine. Like I don't really know how you would have fit that in, but I was just kind of like, oh, okay, if you say so. They're not just regular swords.
Maybe we'll get a short story compilation, one for each of the weapons.
Of the swords. Honestly, I would fucking love that.
I would read that.
I would absolutely.
It would be a fun framing device for a short story collection. Is that each of these swords breaks in the Citadel. And so this is like the story of the elves that held each of these swords.
Yeah.
That would actually be a fun framing device.
Even if it wasn't the elves who held them in that moment, but weapons can be passed down.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Exactly.
So they could be through different ages,
families. Yeah.
Which would be really interesting. I would love that.
You could have like a story that goes all the way back to like when the humans first arrived in Allegatia.
Yeah. The war with the dragons. Like.
Well, I feel like that would be most of it, right?
Yeah.
And then the last story would be one of those weapons being used in the fight against Galbatorix that they lose.
Yeah.
And so it just ends on a real downer. Just like, it was all for nothing.
Yeah, they definitely lose. Galbatorix wins.
For
nothing to be done.
For 100 years.
Yep.
So we get the... Fuck. I'm going to go get locked out. I'll be back. Talk about Galbatorix.
Galbatorix is terrifying. I think he's an actually really interesting villain. He does not give a fuck about, like, anything. He's very single-minded. He's trying to find the name of names, which obviously we find out that he has found. He does not give a fuck about the Varden. He's like, yeah, Aragon and Saphira, you're gonna bring yourselves here. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to go looking for you. I don't give a shit. The Varden are all gonna, like, basically kill themselves in this war, and stem their own rebellion because I'm gonna win here, and there's nothing you can do about it. He's like, I know about Elva. I know about the Delphdart. I even know about the Eldunari. Which, honestly, no idea how. That's like a really fun, interesting twist that I actually have no idea how Galbatorix knew about the Eldunari. Like, he's like, I know everything, I have spies, and I'm like, oh my god, how? How did you find that out?
I think he can feel them.
Sure.
Because even the elves, when they're talking with the elves are, like, looking behind them at something that they don't quite know what it is. I think that Galbatorix would be so familiar with the feeling of Eldunari.
Yeah, maybe.
That feeling that the elves were having would be even more potent for him. Or not potent, but he would just be more aware of what it is.
Yeah, maybe.
Or there's an elf, right? There might have been an elf that was on his side.
Yeah, maybe.
You never know.
That's possible. But anyways, he's terrifying. He knows the name of the ancient language, and he uses it to strip away everyone's wards, to freeze everyone in place.
He makes all the magic outside go haywire, so the good guys keep killing their own people.
Yeah. All their, like, spells are not behaving like they're supposed to, which is causing chaos among the Varden.
Among the Varden.
Yeah.
Among the Varden.
Which, honestly, that would be, like, the most terrifying part, is being like, I'm trying to do a thing, and it's doing the what is happening.
Yeah.
That would be
especially when you already, like,
notion.
know that there are spies in your ranks, so it's like, who's turning on you because it's the final battle?
Right. Yep.
Yeah, it's good. It's good shit. And so then Aragon and Murtagh duel to entertain Galbatorix, because Aragon's trying to figure out a way to, like, he's like, fight me, you old man. And the old man is like, well, first earn that shit. You gotta fight your brother. And
he's like, I didn't win the throne by accepting every old challenge and duel. Are you fucking
Aragon's
kidding me?
like, my half-brother, Brom was my dad. And Murtagh's like, what?
And even Galbatorix is like, makes sense.
I couldn't remember exactly how this went down. And so there was a part of me that was like, oh, dude, does Aragon, like, get away with it a little bit with Galbatorix? Because Galbatorix is trying to, like, come up with his true name, but doesn't know that Brom is his dad. And so, like, Galbatorix can't beat him because he doesn't truly know him. But then that didn't happen, so it didn't matter.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I was like, I can't, yeah.
Stefan says, with the name and names, would he not be able to bypass their words and scry on them? Yeah, and he probably did. I don't know how long he has known the name of names. I honestly think he discovers it shortly before the Varden get to Urubane.
It's an interesting point, though. Like, he could have scryed them the night before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the necklace wouldn't have changed anything because he can change the necklace. He can change the nature of scrying.
I don't know if he can change the necklace. I think it depends on if the necklace was created with worded magic or not.
Which, here's the thing. Most people don't know that you can cast magic without words.
Yeah.
That's not public knowledge. Even Galbatorix doesn't know that.
Yeah.
Because his training wasn't complete. And so that ends up kind of being part of his undoing. Right?
1,000%, yeah.
He thinks that because he knows the name of names, that they can't cast any kind of magic whatsoever. And therefore can't protect against it.
Aragon and Murtagh fight.
They fight.
Murtagh goes for a killing blow, so he would have won the fight, but Galbatorix stops him.
Yeah, he's like, no, I said no killing.
And then Aragon is like, I gotta give up a rib. Like Adam, when God created Eve, he sheathes the sword.
He sheathes the sword,
He really
guys.
does.
Yes.
And he takes a body blow so that he can fucking take out Murtagh.
Well, because he's like
winning the fight.
He's like, why can't I understand Murtagh? You know, I'm a good sword fighter. I've been practicing this. Like I've been working so hard to be the very best, like no one ever was. And he realizes it's because Nasuada's there, and that Murtagh is willing to do anything. Like he has to win this for some reason. And so Aragon is like, okay, I have to give him what he wants so that I can win. Fantastic. Great sequence. It's a
great fight.
Murtagh is so upset.
Well, and, Murtagh's moment at the end, because, we skipped over it a little bit, but Murtagh has been visiting Nasuada. This is a perfect time to talk about that. Yeah. Murtagh's been visiting Nasuada drunk and then not drunk and falling in love with her.
Yeah.
Which, was teased at the end of the first book, right?
Yeah.
But they have this really beautiful relationship that is built on pity, unfortunately, from her to him, and on regret and guilt from him to her. But there's a genuineness to the way they interact with one another.
Yeah.
That I don't remember being when I was 19 and I read this book for the first time. I remember being like, I don't get this at all. Like this doesn't work for me.
Oh, really? Okay.
And it just didn't at the time. I was like, Murtagh sucks. And now that I'm like an adult and I'm looking at it, I do get it, right? Part of it is Stockholm Syndrome. Part of it is like a...
Which apparently is not a real thing, but...
Stockholm Syndrome?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know that I buy that.
I have read several very conflicting articles. It's being disproven. It was created... Okay, Stockholm Syndrome was like... something that they like kind of made up to like explain this like one thing that happened. It's very strange. We should
But this isn't even really Stockholm Syndrome because Murtagh isn't the one holding her in place.
Yeah, he's also a prisoner.
You're right. It is the wrong word for it because this is trauma bonding.
Yes.
They go through something that nobody else could understand.
Yeah.
And they're both people with responsibilities in the world that no one else could possibly glean any information on.
Yeah.
From the outside, right? Like they go through something that is so intimate and so bizarre.
Yeah.
And so unique.
Yeah.
And so they create this relationship that honestly, in hindsight, I get a lot more now than I did back then.
Yeah, I think that just comes with maturity and life experience.
Yeah.
I'm like Arzu. I loved Murtagh, but I can understand like he's such a complicated character. There's a lot to unpack with him, which is why he's got a whole novel that just came out.
Nicholas Cardillo brings up something really interesting that's kind of a spoiler for Murtagh, so don't read his comment, but that is interesting, Nicholas, because I didn't think about that. I don't know how to talk about it, but I want to talk about it, but we can't talk. Nicholas, let's get back to this when we read Murtagh.
We'll talk about that next week.
Because that is an interesting point about Galbatorix.
Yeah, but Galbatorix may not have fully comprehended what was happening because he was
at the time,
so young.
And he was going through some shit.
Yeah, he had just lost his drive.
Let's move on. Let's move on and let's get back to it when we read Murtagh.
Yeah.
So Murtagh and Nasuada have these incredible scenes where they're falling in love, and then Murtagh's name changes.
Well, Murtagh's like, I'm gonna try and get you out.
Yeah.
And he's like, fuck you, Aragon. If you just waited one more day, I could have freed her. And Aragon is like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
When Murtagh loses, he realizes in talking with Aragon in that moment that they're different.
Yeah.
That Murtagh and Thorn have fundamentally changed into something else, and
into something closer to Aragon, right?
Yeah.
Because like the difference between them is that Aragon has always been willing to sacrifice himself.
Yes.
And we'll get into how the end of this book is just him sacrificing himself.
And Murtagh has never been.
And Murtagh has always made it about himself and Thorn.
Yes, when Thorn comes along, for sure.
And so now Murtagh realizes that he's a little bit more like Aragon now. He's willing to sacrifice himself for somebody else. And the way in which he goes about that is... my true name has changed. Aragon, get ready.
Yeah, he realizes
3, 2, 1, go.
Shift inside of him, and then they just fucking throw themselves at Galbatorix.
Because Murtagh uses the name.
Yes.
Of the names. Which is crazy.
Yeah, uses the name of names.
Galbatorix fucked up letting him hear it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And then they do this for 5 minutes.
Kind of. Arya definitely stabbed Shrukin. It's just shaking. You got 4 minutes left. 4 minutes left. Did she just pull your neck?
No, it's just cramping.
Oh my god.
It's cramping. Whoo, doggy.
Doesn't know his limits.
Oh, wow, that hurt.
Yeah, I would never have done that. Oh, I heard that crack.
Ugh.
Yeah, they kind of stare at one another. Thorn actually launches himself at Shrukin.
Mm-hmm.
Grabs him. Saphira then it realizes what's happening. They try to bring down Shrukin. Shrukin is fucking massive. They're gonna get... I'm like, oh my god, they're gonna get crushed. But Arya uses the Death Stare to stab Shrukin in the eye all the way through to his brain. And just...
I don't know how she got up that high, but...
She jumped with magic.
Yeah, but that's still like, fuck, he's so big.
Yeah, I mean, his neck is so long, his head might have been closer to the ground, because, to be fair, Thorn and Saphira are so much closer to the ground, so
yeah,
he's to bite at them.
Well, no, and they're on his neck when it happens.
Yeah.
They're, like, trying to pull him down.
They're weighing him down.
Is it just Nynaeve versus Moggy? 100% matter.
Kind of, yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And then, despite the fact that Shrukin is, but Shrukin isn't dead yet. Actually, that happens next. First, nothing happens, and they just stare at each other. And Galbatorix is just fucking winning. He holds everyone in place again. Thorn is attacked, Saphira is attacked, but then everyone gets, like, stuck again. And then Aragon realizes he's lost. Yeah. It's over. No victory here. Shrukin is still alive at this point. And then Aragon uses wild, crazy magic times, pulls the magic of all the fucking Eldunari and from Saphira, and he just wants Galbatorix to understand. And Galbatorix doesn't have a ward for that. Because, like, how the...
Because it's not an attack.
And what would you ward against? I don't want to stop the magical gaining of knowledge.
And that he would never do that, right?
But, like, yeah, how would you ward against this kind of a thing?
Yeah.
Really hard to do, right?
Yeah. This is why it's fucking cool.
And so Galbatorix starts to actually sword fight Aragon because he's like, what did you do to me?
Yeah. He's like, make it stop. He is in so much pain from understanding the harm that he has caused people.
Yeah.
And the Eldunari catch on to what Aragon is doing, and they funnel their own grief and their own life experiences into the spell, which, like, strengthen it, right? Because Aragon, in comparison to the dragons, Aragon has a more limited understanding of the heinous crimes that Galbatorix has committed, but a lot of them were there when he betrayed them, when their riders died. Like, there is so much emotion that is poured into this. And then with the dragons, like, connection to inherent, like, magic, it just kind of turns it into this, like, into one of those, like, things that the dragons can just, like, make happen.
Well,
right?
And I also think that his connection to his Eldunari that he's made mad, like, he understands for, I think, the first time, all of the pain that's been in the back of his head, even regardless of everything outside the Citadel. If it was just understand what you did to those fucking things that you've been feeling for 100 years.
Yep.
Right? It's all just like, in the back of his head at the same time. And it's what sets the finale apart, I think, in terms of the fantasy element of this.
Yeah.
I think that it is not a cop-out finale in a way that sometimes beating the big bads can be, where it's like, we've set him up to be so powerful, how do we take him down in the end?
Yeah.
The way they beat Galbatorix makes sense within the rules of this world and does not limit his strength, right?
No,
it does not take away from what they've set up with Galbatorix the way that some other, in my opinion, lesser fantasy series do. The end of this series very much makes sense within the world that they've built. And I think that is really a credit to allowing Galbatorix to be the scariest, baddest motherfucker on the planet.
Yeah.
Letting Galbatorix win. Yeah. And then beating him with something he could have never seen coming. Yeah. That is within the world of this magic system. It's great.
Do you think that do you think that the spell would have succeeded as well without the Eldunari?
No.
No, okay. I don't either.
No.
Because I
don't think it would have happened. I don't think Aragon naturally would have had enough energy to make it happen.
Oh, yes. It definitely, saps... Yes, for sure.
So no.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm just wondering.
I don't think, the understanding needed the Eldunari, but I think the amount of power it takes to create something like this, I don't think he could have done without them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
I think the understanding comes mostly from the dragons that he's connected to.
That's my thoughts as well.
Because he's already open to them. Yeah. So, it's not even about getting past his mental barriers. He in order to use their power, he has to be open to them mentally, right? And so you're basically just helping him understand what is already in his head in a weird way. Yeah. And so I don't think it's really I don't think Umaroth's anger is what sways him. Right. But I do think Umaroth's strength allows it to occur.
Yeah. Otherwise, Aragon also would have been blown to smithereens. But despite all the feelings, all the feels, as Matrix says.
This is, while they're sword fighting and he's feeling all the feelings, this is where Shuriken gets stabbed because he's distracted. And,
yes. Shuriken gets distracted. Galbatorix starts fighting. And Aragon managed to...
They reveal Nasuada is chained in the corner of the room. She's there for
before.
This. I know, but we didn't... She is there.
Yes, she is
She's just kind of present.
Yeah. Aragon stabs Galbatorix, and Galbatorix...
In the same spot he stabbed Murtagh.
Yeah. And Galbatorix is in so much pain that he decides to unmake himself. Yeah.
This is how I feel. This is how I felt when we were living in the Brampton apartment and I was having migraines 4 times a week. Yeah. Where I was I think I might rather be dead than this.
You're just make it end. Yeah.
I never quite got that far, but I was close a couple of those nights where I was I don't know what to do.
Just knock me out.
I was in so much pain. Mm-hmm. And there was no position, there was no medicine, nothing was, I couldn't get out of it. Yeah. And so it would just be 9 hours of just misery. Yeah. And so I kind of relate to this in a very dark way. Yeah. Of I get it, man. My migraines took me in a similar direction. Yeah. During that period. Yeah. Until we moved out of that house. Mm-hmm. The reading this kind of brought me back to that time.
Yeah, well, because what else can you do about it? Galbatorix is make it fucking stop, and Aragon is no, and he's okay, well, shit, and so he literally just nukes himself. There's this giant explosion which Aragon manages to protect them all against.
Well, he pulls everybody to Nasuada because he's well, I don't know how to get Nas out of here. Yeah. So he pulls everyone to Nasuada. Yeah. And then shields the area. They do save the 2 kids. There were 2 kids in the room that Galbatorix was using to threaten them with. Yeah. They save everyone. Crazy.
Yeah, it's a really cool moment. I've always loved this finale, how it all plays out, how it still keeps Galbatorix dangerous. Yeah. Without, but giving him still being defeated, right? Yeah. He doesn't just somehow become less than.
Outside, Roran gets taken out, healed, and then he goes back in on a litter, and Roran has been directing the battlefield from a fucking litter. Yeah, in the middle of the city.
Roran doesn't know when to stop.
No, can't relate. Yeah. I'm really good at taking time off. Yeah. And Arya, they get everybody out. Murtagh releases Nasuada from her chains, which I think is a really, because he has to use the name of names to break the wards on the chains. Yeah. And I like that it's Murtagh that rescues her. Yeah. And Arya goes deeper into the vault to go save the dragon egg while Aragon gets everyone out.
Because they've forgotten about the other dragon eggs until like a few moments later.
Yeah.
From the Vault of Souls.
They get their memories back.
Yeah.
And Arya comes out with a green dragon egg. Do you feel like this is too much of a spoiler?
No.
This guy is on the cover.
In the same way that, like, I mean, Thorn is on the cover of Eldest.
Good point. Yeah.
Like, I think, yeah, some people would consider those to be spoilers. But I just think that, like, it's a book about dragons. You put it, like, when I was reading them. You put a dragon on the cover, yeah, when I was reading them for the first time.
He's putting Saphira on the first one, a spoiler. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I'm just like, it's a book about dragons. There's a different color dragon on each cover.
Yeah.
Whether or not it means something, who knows? We'll find out. But yeah, I've never had, like, an issue with it, even though it is kind of a spoiler.
And so, they win. They beat the bad guys in a way that I really like.
Yeah.
I do think, like, the victories through all of the cities, I kind of wish there was a city that held out, that they gave up on. I think that would have been narratively interesting, that they're like, fuck it, we'll deal with them if we beat Galbatorix. Just so that they didn't win so much in this book. But I mean, other than, like, and that's, like, a small thing. There's a lot here that it's quite a wonderful ending. There's a lot of swords Nicholas Cardew brings up. They save all the rider swords. Snaps says, great South Asian food, though, in Brampton. Brampton has incredible food. An incredible place to live. Look, I don't hate Brampton. I want to be very clear. We lived in a house where we shared a wall with a neighbor whose cigarette smoke was getting into our apartment, and I'm allergic to cigarette smoke. And so I liked that apartment. I liked that townhouse.
Fine.
No, I liked it. I liked our big living room. I liked our kitchen. Like, there was a lot there that I liked.
Sure.
I liked our little backyard. Like, you know, like, we had a nice spot, but the cigarette smoke pouring into our house from our neighbor made me so sick.
Yeah.
And so I'm not anti-Brampton. We just lived in the wrong spot in Brampton.
Yeah.
And yes, the food there is incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good finale. Good finale.
It's a great finale.
Yeah.
And then there's like another 10 hours of audiobook.
Yeah. There's a lot to wrap up. And there's a lot that doesn't wrap up, which honestly I think is great. A lot of people are like, oh, there's so many dangling threads. Everything should have been wrapped up in this book. And I'm like, well, everything that mattered was wrapped up.
Arzu, thank you for that super chat.
Arzu, thank you.
I love that the resolution was something only Aragon would think to do to Galbatorix. Neither Arya, Naswada, Murtagh, Angela, or Roran would think to do what Aragon did. It's also a testament to how unique each of those characters are. I agree with that.
Yeah. And it, like, leans into the reason why, like, Saphira chose Aragon, right?
Yeah.
She says, like, in my egg, I picked you. There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
It always had to be you.
Yeah.
No one else could have achieved what you achieved.
And the books do a really good job. Look, we joke about the ways in which that this series is similar to other fantasy stuff, but what this series does that I think really cancels out the idea of the plagiarism thing that people push on Christopher Paolini is that he really writes why these characters feel what they feel about all of these scenes really well.
Yeah.
And so, yes, some of the, like, beats feel similar, but the character's relationship to those beats is so different. And I think that it's why the series endures and why people are so excited for Murtagh and why it's selling so well.
Yeah.
Is that there's an endurance to the mentality of these characters and to the unique... We talked about him in that interview, right? Like, the way he writes women, and he has so many female characters who have agency in this story and positions of power. Arya is not just there in the end. We talked about this last night. I really appreciate that in this long epilogue, Naswada does things with agency in the epilogue because she is a damsel in distress a little bit in parts of this story.
Yeah, she gets kidnapped.
And she gets tortured, and, like, she does have an unsuccessful breakout attempt that shows how strong she is.
Yeah. But
in the aftermath, you don't really need Naswada for the Siege of Urbane, right? She's kind of more of a politician. And she leads the Varden well because of the politician stuff that she does, not because she's, like, the best warrior.
Yeah,
she cuts up her arms and then doesn't fight for 3 months because she's healing.
Yeah.
So Christopher Paolini gives her agency in the aftermath of Urbane and really shows why she's a good leader. Now, questionable choices with the magicians, but other than that...
I think that is her one failing, is that fear.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And she's not wrong. I just think the way she goes about wanting to handle it is wrong.
Yeah, it's such a tough situation because I'm like, well, I don't, like, what do you do?
Yeah.
Like, how do you... Yeah. And I think that that's probably going to be the focus of at least one or two future novels.
Yeah.
Christopher Paolini said in the interview that he wants to explore more Allegation. He wants to do more stuff. He was like, I kind of want to do, one fractal verse and then one like Allegasia and kind of flip flop back and forth. But he was it depends because Murtagh is like selling really well. So if that's what people want to see, then go buy Murtagh. Go like let Paolini know that we need more Allegasia stories.
We only have 3 copies, so
only 3.
Yeah, we have an audiobook, the Kindle, and the physical book.
Yep, you're right. We only have 3 copies, so you should have at least that.
So let's go over all of the stuff that happens in the epilogue. They fix everything. Aragorn goes and undoes a bunch of magic. Murtagh and Aragorn have an incredible scene where Murtagh flees, and they go meet, and Murtagh's like, you here to stop me? And Aragorn's like, not really. Like,
depends on what you want to do.
Are you going to go be evil? And Murtagh's like, no, I just want to be alone. And he's like, you don't have to be alone. And Murtagh's like, but like, I kind of want to be alone.
I kind of need to be alone for a bit.
And Aragorn's like, cool. And then Murtagh's like, this is the name of names since you forgot. And he like undoes the magic on Aragorn that was making him forget shit. And so now Aragorn, Arya, and Murtagh, and maybe Naswada know the name of names.
No, none of them do.
Yeah, they do.
No, Aragorn is the only one because Aragorn goes to talk to Murtagh.
Definitely does.
Sorry, Murtagh
and Arya definitely does.
No, Arya does not. She's not there for that.
We know that she does, though.
How?
It's a spoiler for Murtagh, I guess.
What? No, it's not.
I guess for like her opening chapter. Yeah, it is.
Tell me, because I don't know what you're... Arya doesn't know.
Murtagh mentions in Murtagh, in like really early on in the book, that only him, Aragorn, and Arya know the name of names at this point.
Okay, I guess he taught it to Arya, but I don't think Murtagh teaches it to Arya. I think that must have been Aragorn.
No, Arya knows it. Yeah.
But Arya is not there for that scene.
I don't know that she's as affected by the memory magic as Aragorn is. I think that might be why she knows it.
No. The memory magic is that he...
Aragorn tells her.
Okay, yeah. Aragorn has...
Does he tell her at the end of this book? He might. I think he does.
Sorry, maybe I missed that. But, Arya's not there for that scene because Murtagh has to,
No, he's not there for that scene, but I know that she knows the name of the names. Yeah,
he has to say the name...
At the end of this book, yeah.
Okay, it is. Okay. I was
and then
getting confused.
Aragorn told Murtagh at some point that he told Arya. Because Murtagh does know it. That she knows.
Right, I guess so. But Naswada definitely does not know the name of names because she wants Aragorn to teach it to the leader of the magicians.
Naswada doesn't know, right.
And Aragorn is like, no. No. The least amount of people who know this word, the better, because it is too powerful. Someone will abuse it.
Yeah, Murtagh and Aragorn scene is one of my favorites from the end of this book. I really think it's fantastic. The two of them finally getting to talk. Murtagh finally being free. Murtagh understanding that he still did kill Hrothgar and that he's still guilty of that one, even though I don't think he necessarily feels as guilty about Ormus and Glader because he was literally not in control in that moment.
Yeah,
he carries the guilt of killing Hrothgar on himself in a way that I think I really respected him for this time around.
Yeah.
And then Arya Arya goes back to Dweldenbarden, becomes the queen of the elves, and also Fernan, the green dragon, hatches for her, so she's now a rider. Yeah. And a queen.
Did you love Fernan's voice in the audiobook?
Yeah, he's sexy.
He's like a fucking bass. Oh my god.
Saphira and Fernan fuck like crazy.
Yeah, like
they fuck
jackrabbits.
all over Urabane.
Yeah.
They fuck everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Saphira's like, I want to test him. And she fucking bites him and they fight and then they fly really, really high so we don't actually watch them fuck.
Yeah, when the dragons are boning, Aragorn tells her the name of names.
Yeah.
Nicholas Cardenas brings up that Glader doesn't forgive him but understands him. Glader's part of that conversation's great.
And I think that it helps Murtagh into healing, right? Before
as much as he does.
Yeah. It's tough. There is a lot of trauma there.
So, what did you think about Arya not telling Aragorn right away about Fernan?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
She was far away.
Just get a mirror, Arya. You gotta...
Well, yeah,
I guess you can't mirror inside of Dweltenvarden, so.
Yeah, that's the weird thing about all the wards is like you are protected, but you are more cut off from the rest of the world, and so that has its pros and cons.
I know, but I love that she sends message by grass boat.
Yeah.
Like.
Well, because, like...
How would you intercept it, I guess? It's in the sky, like...
And, like, no one would think and be like, oh, that seems important, because it's just a little grass boat.
It's just a little grass boat.
There's gonna be so many fucking grass boats flying around Allegasia from people.
Yeah.
They're gonna be like, oh, this is a new, fun way to send messages, instead of, like, birds.
Mm-hmm. But I do love that Aragon is like, wow, it's got so many masts. Like, Arya's getting better at making grass boats.
Yeah. AMV fan, thank you so much for that super chat. The voice for Fiernan in the audiobooks is insane. It's hilarious. Yeah. It's so low. Yeah. I love it.
We get to the decision. A few decisions. One, the Urgals are going to have the Hunger Games every year so that the Urgals can prove themselves to women and get laid.
I mean, it doesn't have to be to the death because it's like a game, but yeah, basically.
The Urgals and the Dwarves are going to be allowed into the rider magic so that they can become riders.
Yeah.
Which Oric is like, I might lose my crown for this, but yeah, let's do it. I want a dragon.
I think that's Murtagh, but it's fine.
I know. I hate that Murtagh is Scottish for no reason in the audiobooks.
I love it. Shut up. No, I love it.
But there are no Scottish humans except Murtagh. So, like, where did he get the accent from? I like that the dwarves don't have Scottish accents in this. It makes them a little bit different. But, like, where did Murtagh's Scottish accent come from?
I don't know.
And then Aragon is like, hey, I'm leaving. And Naswad is like, no, I need you to run the Duvrain Regatta and, like, force magicians to work for me.
And Aragon is like, hell no.
Yeah.
Absolutely
What do you think
not.
of Naswad's plan?
Look, I don't know what else you do in this situation.
Yeah,
it's
tough.
Considering everything that she has been through and what the world has been through with Galbatorix, I'm like, I get it. Do I think it's the right decision? No. But I've also never lived through anything like they did. Like, I've never been subjugated to, like, a tyrant who can use magic.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I feel like my opinion doesn't really matter.
Well, and, like, it's just so tough, right? Like, it's the thing that I think is always so interesting when I read, like, D&D lore.
Yeah.
Is there's so many magicians in that world who can do anything to anybody. And, like, how do you police that?
Yeah.
How do you police Tasha's hideous laughter? Do you know what I mean?
The wish spell.
Yeah. How, like, and so, I don't know. I understand Naswada's position, and we'll get more into it when we talk about Murtagh, but... Yeah. It's a tough world. And I think she's right in a way. Like, I think that if you're going to use magic, you should register with the government. Because I think that you should be registered with the government to drive. And I think that driving is less dangerous than being a magician. So
you're team Tony Stark.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. God, yeah. Yeah. Oh, 1,000% yes.
Cool.
In a world where, like, Thor exists, yes, 1,000%.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with Batman in that, like, you have to have a solution for every superhero in case they go bad.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like it's the Babel storyline in Batman that, like, you know, the Justice League really freaks out when they find out about it. But Batman has a strategy to take out every single member of the Justice League in case something happens.
Yeah.
And I get it, right? Like, fuck, if Superman were real, the things that he could do.
Yeah. Where everyone is at his mercy.
Aragon can break into your mind and completely control every action of yours. Yeah. Like, that has to be regulated on some level.
And I think that's honestly scarier than the casting the magic.
Yeah.
Is someone being able to infiltrate your mind without you even knowing it. There are only so many people who can notice when someone is touching their brain. Yeah. Like, that someone could be being manipulated without even realizing it is terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough because it's why I'm glad magic isn't real. Because there's no solution to this problem. Yeah. There just isn't, right? And that kind of becomes, once you start to bring that up in your world, which is what Christopher Paolini does here.
Well, and I think it's very mature of him. Because you could easily have just been like, yeah, magic. Don't worry about it.
But there is no solution. There's no end. There's no because there's no way to test people for magic in this world. There's no way to, unless you catch someone using magic, there's no way to even know. And Aragon brings up, what about people who can just touch other people's minds? That's technically magic, even though... And that's, they also have to join Dubrankergata.
I think the way that you test people is you touch everybody's mind and see if they notice.
The whole world?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a nightmare. It is an actual nightmare, logistically. Everything about it sucks, and props to Christopher Paolini for taking on that big question. Yeah. Because he could have easily just not said anything about it and left it, and some people would have been like, "Oh, what are you gonna do about this?" But the fact that he faces the problem head on, I think shows a rare maturity for this kind of thing, especially in fantasy. Because fantasy can easily just be fun and dragons and magic. But once you get into the logistics of how that works and who's using it and for what ends, ooh.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It becomes a world where it is... This is going to be so fucking bad to say, but it would almost be better if Nasuwada was the world's best magician. And queen. Right?
Right.
Almost. Just because, no one would be able to overpower her then. Mm-hmm. And so Galbatorix is almost right in what he's saying. Well,
but the problem is Galbatorix will live basically forever, whereas Nasuwada wouldn't. And I think
that might be better in a world with magic. And I know that is controversial, but...
Team Galbatorix over here.
No, not Team Galbatorix, because what he does to everything else is wrong.
Yeah.
But Galbatorix's idea of... I'm going to change magic so that you cannot use magic to harm somebody else is not a bad plan. Whether it's possible or not, I don't really know.
Yeah.
Right? I don't really know if that's how it works. But, if you could take the ability out of all magic, universally, including himself. It would only work if it also included himself. But you can take out the...
Only people who use the language. You can't control nonverbal magic. So then you would have these terrible, powerful people who have an advantage over anyone, and those people can't defend themselves.
I don't know.
And that's what I'm saying. This is so complicated that how do you even begin to solve for it? Because Aragon says, he's if I stay and I become the leader, I'm going to live forever and I will always do what I think is right, but that might not be right.
It's almost just better to not have magic.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is just better to live in a world without magic.
Yeah.
Because it is inherently a system that is ripe for abuse. And unless everybody has it.
Yeah. Arizu, and I hear what you're saying in having the elves train magicians, but Galbatorix was still trained. And so
but he did go crazy when his dragon died. You know what I mean? It's not
Yeah, but if that's what it takes, he was able to twist 13 other people to his whims, right? Yeah. And some of them were full riders. Yeah. Some of them were not kids, right? It's the training I think helps. I definitely think that showing people the lives of those around them and the attention and care for that helps.
Yeah.
But it's again, it's not perfect, right?
AMV fan says, I think the solution is you teach everyone to defend themselves mentally. Can you do that though?
I don't know.
I don't even know if
everyone
can
learn. I don't know if it's said that anyone can learn.
You would still be able to smarter people would be able to take advantage of less intelligent people.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't stop you being attacked by physical magic. So they could just break through your mental barriers by attacking your body.
Yeah, it's tough.
I don't know.
Thank you for that super chat. It's really, really tough.
Yeah.
There is no good solution here.
And we'll get to there. We'll talk. This does come up in Murtag, so we'll get to talk about it.
Yeah, for
more
sure.
And what has happened in the last year once we get there. But
yeah.
It is fun. Honestly, Murtag existing is fun because there aren't really answers yet to these things, but we get Murtag's opinion on them, and that's gonna be fun to talk about next week.
Yeah, and how the world has changed in the time after Galbatorix has died.
Yeah. So we get to the end of the book, and Aragon reveals to everybody, kind of one by one, that he's going to leave forever and never come back, because there's not really a way to raise dragons in Allagash anymore. Everyone is spread out, and there's nowhere where you could raise dragons without it hurting some population.
Yeah.
And also the dragons would be in danger. And so he's going to take them east and hope that there's something there.
Yeah. I mean, they know that there are lands beyond.
Yeah, they just hope that there's, like, food.
Uncharted, yeah. Yeah.
They get there and there's, like, no large animals. He's like, well, we gotta fucking go back. I can't feed dragons on squirrels.
Yeah, when he tells Auric, he's like, you know, if they start eating the Feldenost, like, the dwarves are gonna be pissed.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I need them to have their own place. Because everyone else kind of has their own place right now, right? Like,
yeah.
Obviously, they're intermingled in a lot of ways, but it's very sad. It's obviously, like, prophesized in book 1.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we all kind of knew that this was coming.
Mm-hmm.
But it still sucks. Like, it's still very sad.
I agree.
Yeah.
So he gets to say goodbye to everyone. We get kind of like the Roran and Katrina goodbye, which is very sweet. Until he takes Katrina to Dweldenvarden.
Well, all of them.
I know, but specifically Katrina. And Sloane can hear Katrina because he admits that he just forgot about Sloane.
Yeah, I forgot about Sloane.
And so he gives Sloane his eyesight back because not because Sloane has gotten better, but because Aragon is like, this was mean.
Guilty, yeah.
This was an oopsie on my part.
Yeah, I've done fucked up. And
Aragon, I agree. Like, Aragon is mature enough to realize, oh, this is cruel in a way that I did not intend to be.
Yeah.
And when we were talking with Christopher Paolini in the interview, he brought up that Aragon is so naive that he can be almost cruel sometimes. Yeah. And I think that this is one of the moments that he was talking about.
Oh, for sure. It's again, why I think he's an interesting character, because Aragon is very imperfect.
Yeah.
You know, that imperfection, I think, is what leads to defeating Galbatorix in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
agreed.
But like, there are moments like these. Aragon fucks up continuously throughout this series.
Yeah.
And has consequences for those actions. And
people die.
And people die, but he does try to do right by it. When he knows he's fucked up, he does try and make things better when he can. Right? He offers Elva, I know the name of the language. I can totally remove this curse from you if you want it. And Elva says,
she doesn't.
Thank you, but no. I'm already a weirdo. Like, if I take away the one thing that makes me special, like, I have nothing. I'm just a freak.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is so heartbreaking because it's true. People will treat her differently because of who she is and what she looks like.
Well, because she'll never. She's still only what, like 7 months old.
Yeah, she's a fucking infant. She looks like she's like 6, but still, that's wild.
She can't date. You know what I mean? She can't.
Yeah, it's weird. Angela's gonna have her hands full with Elva.
Yeah, Angela, fuck yeah. I want to book just two of them. So he gives Sloane his eyesight back. And he's like, hey, like, you still can't go talk to them because then they would know that I lied. And so it's sort of selfish on Aragon's part. Because in my opinion, I'm kind of like, that kid should maybe get to know their grandparent. But Aragon's stuck between a rock and a hard place here. So he gives him his sight back and says, you can look at them, but you can't go talk to them.
Yeah.
And then they leave, and Sloane, I don't know, maybe that moment makes Sloane better eventually, but...
I think that Sloane seeing how happy they are,
mm-hmm.
I think that will be the catalyst for change for
him. He comes to respect Roran for the first time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
And then they leave to the east, and Roran rides the boat with them, because Arya's going to take him back on Thorn, and... or Fernan, sorry. And they fly out, and when they get to the last dwarf city, Hedarth, which I was like, is that on the map? It is. It is on the map.
It's like a trading outpost.
Yeah, between the dwarves and the elves. Yeah. As far away from Galbatorix as possible.
Yeah.
Auric is there, and he's like, my brother, you think I wouldn't be here to say goodbye to you? And then they eat for 2 days because fuck yeah, I love dwarves.
Yeah.
I want to go to a dwarven feast so goddamn badly. This sounded great.
Feast on some Nagra.
Feasts on feasts on feasts, motherfuckers.
Yeah, that delicious pork.
Oh man, that sounds so good.
They probably make such good bacon.
You
know?
Hell yes.
Mm-hmm.
Saphira's drunk for 2 days, just fucking the shit out of Fernan.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just, like, holding that little dragon down and bouncing up and down on his dick.
Here's the thing. Like, we can't really add Smut Corner because
they fuck for, like, it's second half of the book.
Yeah. Second half, no, for the epilogue. But still.
Yeah. Poor Aragon, man.
I mean, he can close his mind off enough. He, like, checks in every once in a while and is like, yeah, still going. Okay, cool.
Yeah, but, like, he's a virgin. And, like, he's, like, there's not, like, a chance of him losing it anytime soon. And, like, the woman he loves has, like, a lover of 20 years. So, like, he knows Arya has, like,
experience, yeah.
And Aragon's not going to fuck anybody. And he's just, like, mentally connected to this dragon who is just smashing bits constantly with Arya's dragon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it is, like, this is the weirdest... This is why I was, like, at the beginning of this, no bitches. Like, this is the weirdest sexual cock-blocking I've ever read in my life. Of, like, I know that you're in love with this woman, and you are mentally bonded to this dragon who is fucking the woman that you love's dragon, but she's like, maybe in a decade.
Maybe one day. I mean, here's the thing. Look, they're not getting together anytime soon.
I know. And so he's just gonna be like...
queen.
Fuck, man.
Yeah. Yeah, Aragon is going to be the world's oldest virgin.
I also love that Saphira's like, dragons don't mate for life.
Yeah. She's like, good thing we don't mate for life.
Don't you worry, I'm going to fuck those wild dragons when they hatch.
Yeah, probably. I mean, she's going to be the oldest dragon of their race with a body.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe.
She's going to be everybody's mommy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, there's hundreds of eggs that she won't be the mother of.
No, but I'm just saying she is going to be, like, in a way, the matriarch. She is the oldest one.
Yeah, but it's more of a, like, big sister thing. Because she's only a year older. It's not like she's, like...
Depending on when they hatch, right?
Oh, true. I think the wild dragons are going to hatch pretty quick.
It depends. If Aragon, if they can find conditions for the eggs to hatch.
Yeah.
Because it's all conditional, right? And
true.
So who knows? It might take them a year or 2 or 3 to find a suitable place for the dragons to begin to hatch.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they get to the edge of Allegasia, and they say goodbye.
Yeah.
And then Aragon leaves forever. And Arya's like, maybe in a decade we'll have sex. And he's like, I will still love you.
Yeah, he cries for a bit, and then he smiles.
Yeah.
It's it's like a sad ending, but it's perfect.
It's easier now that I know the story's continuing.
Sure, yeah.
Because when I was 19, I was like, well, fuck this.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I've always liked this book. I don't love it as much as I love Brissinger. I still think Brissinger of the 4 is my favorite of the 4. And then this would be number 2, then Eldest, then Aragon would be in like a like solid last place. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not like, Aragon sucks, but like, you know. I think this series gets better up until Brissinger, and then this is just weighed down by the like necessity of ending the whole series.
Right.
The epilogue is very long. And I think that like, if there was anything that I would have changed, if I was like an editor of this book, and I'd read it, my recommendation would have been to add an element of tension to the after of the Galbatorix's death. Because at times it kind of feels like I'm reading a textbook of events.
Yeah.
And I just wish it was a little bit more narrative in that part of the book.
Interesting. Okay.
Because it is so strongly plotted and sped through the first half, that this very long epilogue at times just feels a little bit like it could have been... it could have been bullet points.
I guess. I mean, it felt like a lengthy goodbye, but it was what I needed when the series was ending. Like, I didn't want to let it go, and so I do still love it. Yeah, you could speed it up, you could clean it up, but I still love it for what it is.
I don't think it needs to be shorter. I just would have added a little bit more... a through line through it that was a little bit more narratively driven,
right?
And less just like Aragon thinking about things.
Yeah. Nicholas says, "Do you think the Eldonari shared their sexual encounters?" We did. We found that out. Yeah, that the Aragon when the Eldonari are like sharing their memories with him. Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
they share the courtship and like all the sex that they had. Like
they share it all with
very
Saphira,
aware.
and he is there for it. But it's more for Saphira's sake, I think, than for his.
It definitely doesn't say that, but yeah.
No, but I get the vibe. You
Sure.
know, the dragons care more about Saphira knowing that stuff than they care about Aragon knowing that stuff.
Probably. But yeah, that
because Saphira is the main character to the dragons.
Sure, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it is explicitly said in the text that they do share those things.
Yeah, Aragon knows a lot about dragon sex and very little about his own penis.
Probably.
Yeah, and that's Christopher Paolini. He didn't say this on camera, but off camera he did say that was what the next book was going to be about. Is Aragon's sexual awakening.
Learning how to fuck. No.
Yeah.
That is fake news.
He's deeply bisexual.
Oh, is he? Is he? Yeah. That is not mentioned at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
He actually does have sex with a dragon, and the dragon-born species comes into the world, and then this eventually becomes Waterdeep.
He has sex with a dragon.
Gotcha. Term does eventually become Waterdeep, so... Once
right.
the Dragonborn exists, and
I love that for them.
I would love if that's how Dragonborn came into D&D lore. I know it's not, but I would really love it if it was like a human and a dragon had sex at one point.
Oh my god, that would be unhinged.
And that's the book.
Yeah,
we didn't go 3 hours today.
I know, which is weird.
It's because there's so much in this book that we just didn't talk about. Because it's we either have to go through all of it, or we just talk about the stuff that was memorable to us with a book this long.
Yeah. Because there are so many details.
I also think last week I got a little bit bored just because there's nothing to speculate on. I know what happens. And so like Murtagh, I tried it Inheritance.
Yeah.
No, Brissinger. We did like the whole every beat and I was like, we're just saying things that happened. I'd rather just talk about the stuff that I like.
Yeah. 100%. I do enjoy the Doctor Who reference at the very end of this book with Angela.
Raxacor
Galbatorix, yeah. I also think, I meant to ask Paolini this, but in Brissinger, Saphira asks, is it good, is it scrumptious? And I really hope that is also a Lord of the Rings reference.
I'm sure it is, yeah.
It has to be, right? That doesn't feel like Saphira. But I forgot to ask him that in the interview. Unfortunately, that's my bad.
Yeah, I think this is a strong ending. I think it really works. I enjoyed it. Like, I think that I love
mileage
Roran.
may vary on it, but yeah.
Roran is such a fun character. Is he too strong? Maybe, but like as a power fantasy character, he's fun.
Yeah.
His determination is more important than his physical ability, and so like that's what his story really is about, and I like that.
Yeah, it's less like I can arm wrestle anyone. Like it is more about his like mental prowess.
Yeah.
Truly.
One is just his willingness to like stick with the fight, even though he's like everyone's like you just stop. And he's like no, carry me. Carry me to the top of that building so that I can tell people what to do. I do kind of wish they had found a hammer for him to kill Barst with. I wish that Barst had been like, I don't see a hammer. And someone was like, you can use mine. He does get his hammer back, though.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to, like, think of, like, questions to ask you about things that happen afterwards that are not related to Murtagh. Because obviously we've read that and, like, we know. Like, it would have been...
Who do you think is the first dwarf? And do you think Orc becomes a dwarf? Or becomes a rider?
Oh, no. I don't think Orc does.
I kind of would love if Heddarth... No, Heddarth's the town they go to.
Hevedra
becomes a rider. I would love it if Oric's wife becomes a rider.
That would be very funny. I think it's going to be more, like, new characters more than anything. I would love if, like, so one of Aragon's guards gets killed by a Sweldon Rockanuin. I would love, because they visit his mom. I would love if he has, like, a cousin or a brother or something.
Or if, like, Sweldon Rockanuin, like, someone from Sweldon Rockanuin becomes the next rider, and it, like, changes that whole clan's mind about dragons.
Ooh, that's fun. That's spicy.
Right?
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot you could do there.
You could do a whole... Like, you could make a dwarf the lead of one of the stories and have it be a member of Sweldon Rockanuin who doesn't agree with his, like, clan's position.
Yeah.
And becomes a rider and, like, changes the world of the dwarves by bringing Sweldon Rockanuin back into the fold by becoming a rider. Like, that's there's something there.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Interesting. I wonder...
I want the Urgle rider so bad. I want that story.
Is it Yarbog?
No, I don't think so. I think that'll all be younger. I don't think it'll be any characters we already know.
No.
Except maybe Roran's daughter becomes a rider.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, there's always a rider in Palancar Valley.
Aw. That's super fun. Chat, if you guys have any questions for us as well, or things you want to speculate on, please share. I'm really I'm honestly glad that
I need to read the short stories, apparently.
Yeah, you do. I'm glad we have time to kind of relax at the end of this podcast and speculate, that we're not like rushing through it, because I think there's some really interesting themes to chat about. But
it's a good book.
It is.
It's a good series. Honestly, the series is better than I remember it.
Still my favorite.
It just works. And some of it's a little too clean, but like whatever, it works, right? And I think that like the themes are strong. You understand the growth and what our characters go through and why our characters have to be the ones to do this.
Yeah.
You know, there's not a lot of convenience in it, which is nice.
Yeah.
It's a solid 4 books of dialogue and prose that improves as it goes on, while also having a story that I think is built on characters that I love.
Yeah.
And like, is it the like most intricate and deeply thought out high fantasy? No, but I like the characters in this world more than the characters in a lot of other worlds. And so I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? Like, I would rather read this kind of thing than The Crossroads of Twilight. You know?
Yeah, of course.
Or even, like, I think that there's better romance between Roran and Katrina than anything in Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
And so that to me, you know, I care a lot about the human connections, and so...
Even Nasuada and Murtagh have a better relationship than some of the Wheel of Time relationships. Like...
Yeah, because it's honest. It's darker.
Yeah,
but it's honest. Yeah.
For sure.
I don't know. It's tough. I think that there would be people out there who would call me crazy for saying this, but I think that in terms of a whole narrative, I still think Shadow Rising is a better book than I think... I would rank it like a little bit ahead of Brissinger.
Sure.
But as a series, I prefer this as a series than to my enjoyment of the Wheel of Time.
Stronger consistently.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's really important. Like, having the high highs, but also the really low lows, is exhausting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And even though there's a lot of horror elements in this book, and there's like dark stuff,
there's payoff on them.
Yeah. It's never like just like grating, where you're like, this is awful and everything sucks. Like, there's reasons for everything. And I do appreciate the care taken with all of the moments and even the loose ends that are left open deliberately, right? Like, we never find out who those 2 women that, like, Angela heals and, like, has Aragon bless. That then they come back for, like, a moment at the end to help Roran, and that's it. Mm-hmm. Like, no idea who those people are or even where the fuck they came from.
I also think that, like, you know, it's interesting. This was coming out at a similar time to Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And I think that if the movie had been better, this would be as big as Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a better story.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you.
Than Harry Potter's, like, nonsense world.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
Look, here's the thing. If the show nails it, if the show knocks it out of the park...
100%.
This has that potential.
Yeah.
Like, maybe not, you know, Harry Potter was kind of a phenomenon because of also the midnight releases and the hype around it. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if it'll ever achieve
and
that.
And the books were still coming out.
Yes, and so I don't think we'll ever have that kind of cultural moment ever again, because it just lined up with how media was being released as well at the same time. Mm-hmm. But I think that, like, the love for the story is definitely possible, like, worldwide in the way that Harry Potter is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. MVP fan, thank you for that super chat.
Super chat.
Wheel of Time is a series that is better than the sum of its parts. I don't know that I agree with that, but I'm glad that you feel that way.
Yeah,
I think that's a personal take, right?
We definitely agree with that. Inheritance Cycle is more consistently good. Yes, because there are things in Wheel of Time that are incredible, and then there's things that are, like, really not.
I think this series builds to its finale better.
Yeah.
And, like, I think that the character arcs are more consistent and clear.
Yeah.
I think that
We also found out that Paolini is a planner.
Yeah. The stakes of this world are a lot higher than Wheel of Time ever is. The villains are much more interesting than Wheel of Times are. I think that Wheel of Time is really good for 6 books, and so I'm fond of it because I do love those first 6. Mm-hmm. But I think that this is a better series because of that consistency. I think that you have, in order to be judged as a whole, the consistency is very important to me.
Yeah.
And I think that Wheel of Time ultimately just drops too many of its plot lines and doesn't have a resolution that I like.
And I think that a big difference for me is that a lot of the character failings in Wheel of Time don't have real consequences.
Yes,
whereas
I agree with that.
Aragon fucks up many times. Even Roran fucks up. And people die because of it. Yeah. And that has a genuine impact on the characters.
And the lessons that they learn from their mistakes. And this is why throughout the entirety of the Wheel of Time book club, I kept being like, I want them to fail so that they can grow from it.
Yeah.
And because they never do, that is much more clear here.
Yeah.
In terms of, like, the characters' failings, allowing them to become the characters that succeed, as opposed to the characters are Taviran, and so they will eventually get it right. Which is kind of what the Wheel of Time is. Yeah. And I think one of those things is stronger than the other for my taste. Yeah, yeah. And there are going to be people who prefer the Wheel of Time's version. But I think that the Wheel of Time, for me, the Wheel of Time characters eventually get it right because the universe puts them there. Yeah. And this is a series where the characters fuck up, they fail, then their mentors slap them in the back of the head and go, look at why you failed. What can you do differently next time? And then they do, and they eventually succeed because they overcome their own personal failings, which to me is a more interesting narrative than Taviran.
And also, Aragon's personal failings can be interpreted as to why, or no, I say failings, but I think it's more of a failings depending on who is analyzing Aragon. Yeah. Determine the success at the very end with Galbatorix. Right?
What do you mean?
Well, for example, Arya is like, what the fuck did you do with Sloane? You're an idiot. You stayed here. You should have just fucking killed him, right? But it's those things about Aragon that he inflicted on Sloane that are part of the reason I think he's able to defeat Galbatorix. Like, those two things are not unrelated, which is why Aragon has to be the one. He is the one person that can achieve this, even though some people view those parts of him as failings.
Oh, 100%. But that is also, and we said this last week, like, that scene with Sloane is where this series elevates itself for me. Yeah. Like, the way in which this series discusses the moral dilemma of Sloane is where this series takes a step up into this is about how this character's unique way of viewing the world impacts the end. Because I don't think the Galbatorix stuff works without the Sloane stuff. Yeah. I don't think that I would buy Aragon doing that, except that you've already set up who he is. Yeah. And it is about creating a very unique character and his worldview and how it helps him win in the end. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 Practically Incarnate says, personally, I never felt the world in these books was ever in danger. It just seemed like it was an issue for a small region, at least until you figured out the name of the ancient language. If you determine quality by the entire world has to be in danger for a story to be good, sure. Yeah, but the race of dragons is dying and extinct because Galbatorix fucking murdered them all. I don't need the whole world to be in danger every single time. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's enough for a country to be in danger. I'm not like, oh my god, Full Metal Alchemist isn't great because the transmutation circle will only affect Amestris. It should destroy the entire planet, right? Yeah. So I don't know. You can have a story where the only thing in danger is a single person. It just depends on how in danger that person is. Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. And I think that is also more of a taste thing. Like there are some people who I don't even agree with that. I think that people who want the world to be in danger every time are starting to get bored with the fact that comic book movies have the whole world in danger every time. And I think that guys, comic books have ruined fantasy. No, but I just think that it's true, right? Like, if the whole world is in danger every single time, it gets a little bit boring. Yeah. Sometimes it's nice for the danger to be a relationship ending. Yeah, for sure. Like that the stakes can be that small as long as they are tense. And I do think the stakes of this world are tense.
Yeah.
Because up until Aragon figures out how to beat Galbatorix, they're going because they have to. This is the only chance. They don't have enough food to stay on the road. They will fail if they wait 2 more days. Yeah. But they go into it not really knowing how they're going to beat him.
Yeah.
And Aragon figures it out.
Yeah. And if Galbatorix isn't defeated, then no one ever finds out about those dragon eggs in the vault. Which is is a weird concept because you don't know that is the stakes. Mm-hmm. Like the characters don't know that, but it's kind of fun to play around with that, right? Yeah. I think it's done well.
Practically Incarnate follows up with, it just meant that as a counter to your point that the world was more in danger in Inheritance than Wheel of Time, and I'm not a huge fan of Wheel of Time. I don't mean the world is more in danger literally. I mean the world of these books has more danger in it than the Wheel of Time ever did.
Yeah, because in Wheel of Time, everyone kind of just succeeds.
Well, and the villains kind of suck.
Yeah.
Yeah. The world of the Inheritance involves more personal danger to our characters than Wheel of Time ever allowed for because of Ta'Viren. Mm-hmm. And it's something that, when I think back on Wheel of Time, I remember less fondly than I even did when I was reading it. Because it kind of becomes a joke. And it is kind of a joke among Wheel of Time fans, right? It does kind of become I even see people be like, well, the show can't be more interesting than this because Ta'Viren. I've seen that argument on our Patreon videos that are going to start going public tomorrow. And that to me is an inherently flawed series when your audience starts to excuse it being less interesting because, well, Ta'Viren doesn't allow for it to be more interesting, is well, then why the fuck am I reading it? Why am I here?
I think Ta'Viren is such an interesting concept that was ultimately the downfall of the entire series because of how it ended.
Yeah.
I think that the concept, I
agree with that.
Yeah, Robert Jordan wanted the theme of the book to be about choice, and he took away everybody's choices by adding Ta'Viren, and so it doesn't work for me.
And it's the element of the ending that.
We're talking about Wheel of Time spoilers in this Inheritance Cycle book club, so I'm so sorry if you haven't read Wheel of Time and none of this.
That's not really a spoiler though. We didn't really get into the plot, what happened.
Okay, fair. Just
the themes of personal choice fall apart in that because the characters fundamentally don't have personal freedom.
Yeah.
Whereas in this series they do, and the freedom extends to the point of Aragon to me is a much more interesting protagonist than Rand ever was.
Yeah.
And I think that the strength of that is a reason why I would put this above Wheel of Time as a series, even though there are moments of Wheel of Time that are better written than this.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But that's just my taste, right? There are going to be people who think I'm fucking crazy for saying that.
Sure.
You know what I mean? There are people who hate the Inheritance Cycle.
Yeah.
I don't get it. It's a safe enough series that the hatred it gets is a little weird to me.
Well, and here's the thing, is a lot of people say they hate this series because someone told them that it was a ripoff of a bunch of other stuff, and they haven't actually bothered to investigate that further themselves. I have seen comments on our videos that are the entire Inheritance Cycle is just a ripoff of other things. And I'm like, you clearly have not read this series then, because that is
But it's people who will
false.
Defend Wheel of Time, but will be but this is a ripoff of Lord of the Rings. And I'm but the Eye of the World is a ripoff of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
So what do you mean? You know what I mean? Yeah.
There's I agree with you. There's a weird mob mentality within the people who don't like this series that is, to me, seems severely unjustified. I was talking to some people online about how I think the reason it gets a lot of hate is because some kid came up with Aragon and all the old white men went, not on my watch, that this kid is gonna, outsell us or whatever it is, right? My series is so much more complicated. Clearly, this is only a ripoff and does not have its own merit. And I think that narrative just got pushed. But those same men
don't have women in their books.
No, yeah.
As someone who likes to read about people of the opposite gender,
Aragon only has
rare.
Arya and a bit of Nasawada in the first book. I think that it expands on the women of the
I
world.
disagree with that. I think that Angela is one of the most interesting appearances in that novel.
You know what? That's true.
And
that's
look,
true.
Aragon is a small story that doesn't have a lot of characters in it. But each of the women that show up in that book are very different.
That's true.
Even from the beginning, yes, they're less involved, obviously.
Yeah.
And I think that he was 15.
Yeah.
But immediately an eldest, Nasawada is very interesting.
Yeah.
Right?
But, I saw somebody, comment on one of our videos that Aragon only ever got published because his parents owned a publishing company, which is just not true. Factually untrue.
And look, if you're his parents really helped him get the book out, sure.
But we literally we listened to Christopher tell the story about how Aragon got published because his family was going to have to sell their home because they
unless that's all lies, but I don't know. I don't think that he would lie about that. Because why?
Why
structure your whole show on a lie?
And it would be so easy to go in and disprove that, right? To go in there. There are people who for some reason have been told lies that his parents own a publishing company or they were friends with a publishing company. I've seen different versions of the story that he had this connection that was the only reason it ever got published.
Which is fine. Here's the thing. Look, Nepo babies exist. That doesn't... I am not going to sit and review any piece of media based on why it was published. I am never going to review based on that because I wasn't in the room.
Yeah.
I don't know how good the pitch was.
Yeah.
I'm never going to sit here and be like, well, I don't like that this person directed this movie because their father's this person. That has nothing to do with the film.
Yeah.
That's a conversation for a separate video. A video that I'm not going to be the leader of because I don't fucking care about that really at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I want more opportunities for people that don't have those connections, obviously.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to review from that place. I'm going to read the book and review the book. And this series is better than a lot of other shit that gets published from people who don't have connections, right? There are a lot of really, really, really bad books get published.
Yeah.
There are some people who, just for moral reasons, shouldn't be published. Daniel Green just made a video on one. But I don't know. Taylor Swift's only famous because her family owns a shopping empire. Does that mean that I'm gonna sit there and be like, well, the music is bad? No.
Yeah. That's not. Yeah. Yeah.
Look, art is a rich person's game. It's unfortunate, but it is the way that it is. To have enough time to train in this field, I'm an actor, and let's be honest, I could afford it. My parents, did I win every fucking year in Kiwanis to the point where it became a problem because other parents were complaining that me and my two friends won every single category in the local music competition when I was growing up?
Yep.
And I had fucking gold pennants. Guess what? My mom could afford for me to go to the best vocal teacher in the city and train every single week. And we would take our shows that we would use at competition. We would go to old folks' homes and we would perform them Saturday and Sunday nights. And so by the time the competition came up and we performed them, I was able to be ready for that competition because my mom worked really fucking hard to make sure that we had enough money. And granted, look, I'm not exactly a Nepo baby, right? My mom sells coffee and we were very poor when I was very young, but that's fine. My mom worked really hard to get us to a point where I could do that. And so my mom made enough money for me to have the space to become an artist. And I totally respect that that sucks, but that's kind of the way the world works. And I get it.
Well, and Aragon may never have happened if Christopher Paolini was not homeschooled. Because he finished all of his education by the age of 15 and then was bored.
Yeah.
And was like, I'm going to write something.
I did the same thing in high school.
Yeah.
I went to a special school where I worked at my own pace and I didn't do schoolwork most of the year.
Yeah.
So I could train in dance and singing.
Yeah, art, you need time and money to make art. And the unfortunate reality is that a lot of people don't have access to one or both of those things. Mm-hmm. And that is how our world functions. Do I like it? No. But can I do anything about it? No. It is what it is. The unnecessary hate that this series gets because people have gotten a certain narrative into their heads about it because of literal lies that people have perpetuated is wild to me and is fascinating, and I hope that someone smarter than me in 10 or 20 years analyzes it and is like, what happened here? What actually happened?
I'm willing to bet that one of the best books written this year was self-published on Amazon and that it will never get read because people will be like, well, it was self-published, so it doesn't count. But I am willing to bet that one of the best books of the year was self-published on Amazon yesterday.
Sure, yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
I think that like the way in which we view publishing as and how you are published as a meter stick for quality is fucking insane.
Yeah. It's because people feel the need, I think, to measure, to have like quantifiable, tangible things to grasp onto. And I think that is to our detriment sometimes as a society.
100%. It's why like as much as I find award shows fun, I kind of hate them because it's like, oh, this person won a Tony, so they were the best performer this year.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, they were all great.
Yeah.
You want to know how you win a fucking Oscar? It is not by putting out the best movie. It's not by being the best actor in a movie.
You have a movie with little dialogue.
No, you have a movie. No, it's not even that. You have a movie that has a budget to go to New York and LA in December, and you pay for people like me. When I was on the nominating committee 1 year for TV and 1 year for films, I got to go to events where I got to meet the stars of the movie and do Q&As with free drinks and free food so that they could buy me voting for them to be nominated for a SAG award. And then you do that again for the Oscars once you've won all the other awards. If you don't have money for a campaign for your movie, you're not going to win. And
like
so
politics.
Everything you see is Nepo baby bullshit at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And so to like judge a book by that, sorry, this has been a bit of a rant, but I feel like this series gets hate for having spent the last month only reading Christopher Paolini's writings and never having a bad time with it, being able to enjoy everything I read for the last month. Even if it wasn't all the highest highs, but there's nothing I really dislike about the entire series.
We struggle finding lows.
I just find it really interesting being at this point where I'm like, there's not really anything wrong here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great series. I recommend it to everyone. And I think it's also, in a lot of ways, a good intro to fantasy. Like, the first Aragon book is very easy to understand and follow along and not get overwhelmed. I think the ancient language gets overwhelming, if that's not your thing. But I think it's a great intro to fantasy and a great book for younger readers. Like, there's so much good here. Yeah. Guys, if you have any questions about the series, if there's anything you want us to, like, dive deep in, now's the time. We'll chat with Chad a little bit. But the next 2 weeks, we're going to be covering Murtagh.
Yeah.
We're going to do a part 1 and part 2. The book is actually split up into 4 parts. So we're doing...
It's really good.
Part 1 and 2 next week. Part 3 and 4 the following week.
Kind of split up into 5 parts, but...
You're also going to read The Fork, the Witch, and the Worm, right?
Yeah, I'm going to read that for the second Murtagh week.
Not the first one?
Oh, for the first, we just literally just discussed this.
I think there's more to talk about in the second week, so I think, talking about it in the first...
So I'm going to read The Fork, the Witch, and the Worm. And so, because I want to.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like...
Yeah,
like
right.
I just said, like, I really, having read these 5 books in the last month, I have enjoyed this reading much like I enjoyed the first 5 or 6 books of Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
I would put so like I'm really into it. Book club, there was a slog for book club, and I'm sorry. I know that I talked a lot about it, and there are some feelings about that, and like it is what it is. I'm always going to be me, and I'm always going to be honest, and my brain is the way that it is. I know that's not what everybody wants from a content creator, but it is what I am. I feel like this has been a wonderful month of reading, and I never wanted to put down these books. I never stopped reading, and I did a lot in Wheel of Time. And so, like, God, I hope Cosmere makes me feel this way, you know?
Yeah. Touching on that, the new series in the new year will be Cosmere, obviously, Brandon Sanderson. So
we're going to start with Mistborn 1.
For that.
There's going to be 3 books.
Yeah, with the first trilogy.
Yeah.
We might not do all of Cosmere back to back. We might intersperse some other books in there. So make sure you keep an eye on the schedule. Make sure you're part of the Discord.
We want to do new books as well on here.
Yeah,
we want to cover stuff as it comes out.
We're thinking we might cover something for over Christmas as well.
Trying to decide what that is. But.
Yeah, we have a few ideas. So if you're around for the holidays and you want to spend them with us, we're definitely going to have some kind of book club once we get back from LA.
Yeah, there's going to be like a 2-week break while we're in LA, but then we're going to come back with book club for the end of the year.
Yeah. There will be 2 or 3 book clubs in December, depending on how we split things up. So that's very fun. Yeah, I'm excited.
Should we do high-low?
Let's do it.
Clarus.
Chad doesn't have any other questions, it seems like, so.
We always do this, because my family did this. We celebrate each other's highs. We commiserate over each other's lows, because it's what my family did at dinner time to help blend the family unit. Clarus starts with her high, I do my low. She does her low, I do my high, so that we can complement sandwich this biche. Clarus, what is your high for Inheritance?
It's so tough. It's so tough. Do you know your high?
Yeah, this is really easy for me.
Oh.
It was hard in Brissinger. This is really easy for me.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I think my high is just because of how it made me feel reading it was the discovery of the dragon eggs and the impact that it had on the characters. Like, you know, like they got emotional about it, so I got emotional about it.
Do you want to know what's weird? Aragon finding out about it was good. Aragon telling the elves about it was weirdly more emotional.
Yeah. Oh, God. It was... Yeah. I'm going to pick... That's my high because of the emotional impact of it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a super easy high, but it is what it is. So, what's your low?
Just the epilogue's a little draggy.
Sure.
It's not the worst thing ever. It doesn't ruin the book, but it is a little bit draggy. Even though I like where it ends. I actually don't mind Aragon leaving forever.
Yeah.
But it just I wish it just had a little bit. I just wish there was a little bit more pacing in that section.
Yeah.
And
okay.
Some of it feels a little textbooky, but
Fair. I think my low is maybe Aragon being in charge of the Varden, but never actually being in charge of the Varden.
That's actually a good point.
It doesn't matter. That is
just
like
make
the
it,
tiniest
make
little
it
like
Roarin'.
nitpick.
You know what I mean? Just have it be Roarin'. For the narrative of it?
Yeah, sure. Then what is your high?
My high is Barst's death.
Barst's death?
Yeah, because it's the Queen Aslazadi's death into all the elves being enraged is great. And then Aragon killing Galbatorix is awesome, and everything in the throne room is great.
It is.
But
it's
Barst's
fantastic.
death is also only happens because of what Aragon brings together. And it is the confluence of the dwarves, elves, Urgles, and humans coming together to do all of the races come together to do that act.
And Roran would not have known about the Eldonari if Aragon didn't share that with him.
Nah. So, but it is for me. It is the most emotional part of the book because it is the moment where the four races work towards a common goal, like a small common goal. Obviously, they're all trying to take out Galbatorix.
It's 5 races.
Oh, and the Werecats, yes.
Yes, yeah.
So it is, and that's why it works, right?
Yes.
It is the moment in the book for me where everybody works together to take him down. And I'm a sucker for shit like that.
Yeah.
When you can get these races that have been fighting about whether or not they can work together the whole time, coming together to do the fucking thing. I love that, and so it just really worked for me.
Yeah.
Nicholas Cardillo, thank you for that super chat.
Thank you.
Have a great read. Sorry for the spoilers. See you next video. See you
No,
next video.
you're
good.
so
You're
fine.
Good. I want to talk about that next video, so I'm glad you brought it
We will.
up.
Yeah. Make sure to bring it up. Connor asks if we're going to reread Murtagh since we read it so fast. Yeah, I'm going to throw on the audiobook while I'm doing other stuff again, because I think I like rereading books that I enjoy.
There's some specifics I want to pull out of it, so yeah, I'm going to reread.
Yeah, so
especially since we can now do it in 2 halves.
Yes, it's not so much oh my god, we have to finish this because we're about to talk to the author about it.
Yeah. Because it's only 6 hours of audiobook listening for me each week, which isn't that bad.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
It's 25 hours total, so half of it would be a quarter or 6. Yeah.
You're right. That's super easy for us to do.
So I'll probably, I'll listen to it again. There's a couple of really specific things that he chooses to do with the world that I want to talk about next week, so I'm excited for that.
Yes. Guys,
And,
we have a lot that we get to talk about.
I'm excited to spend some time talking about Mukma.
Yeah.
Spoilers!
So
little
excited.
teaser. That was a little tease for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you like this video, like and subscribe to the channel. If you don't, hit the dislike button. Leave me comments down below, because the algorithm god is hungry and we must feed her. This episode, that algorithm goddess is...
Oh.
It's tough for this whole book.
Oh. You know what? R.I.P. Islanzadi.
Yeah.
You were a real one.
A real queen.
You were flawed in a lot of ways, but in the way that all the characters in this series are. And you did your best. You went out and you inspired your people, and you the algorithm goddess this week.
Next week we'll be talking about the 2 sections
Murder.
before Nalgorgoth.
Yes.
So if you don't want to read past where we're going to talk to, you can stop at Nalgorgoth, or you can just keep reading and we'll talk about it in 2 parts. But we'll be back Tuesday, 11 a.m. Rate us 5 stars on iTunes and Spotify. Do all the things. Follow us on the internet. I'm at nerdynightly.
I'm at Claris Polaris.
And as always, y'all, do something nerdy tonight.
Yeah.
Clarus.
Where?
Everywhere.
Where?
People are fucking.
Well, I mean,
because the next generation is about to be born. It's a baby boomer time.
I was gonna say after the war ends, people start fucking real hard. So it's just everything is smut.
Can you imagine Roran and Katrina? Like, they haven't had sex in months because they just had a baby, right?
Yeah.
Her vagina's recovering. They get to Elfland.
Oh.
They're popping up in Dweldenvarden, and all of those pheromones hit them. They're like, hey,
I mean, that's not like a
can an
usual
elf
thing.
watch this baby? We gotta go pound town up in this bitch. They've been traveling with Bloodgarm for weeks at that point.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking.
It's like musk
oh my
or
god.
whatever it is. Yeah.
Katrina wears Roran out.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, you know what? Aragon, I am so ready to ride this boat with you for a few days and get away from my wife and kid, because Katrina has been bouncing on me like a goddamn pogo stick.
I am raw.
Yeah, he's chafed.
Poor Roran.
She's moist, but he's chafed. You know what I mean? God
You can
damn.
only take so much of it, you know?
Yeah.
Katrina's a redhead, so it's like, it's a lot.
Do you think there's a point where, like, I love the idea that Aragon and Arya are having like a phone call, but they're both having a couple drinks, and they do a little like FaceTime sex, you know?
You can't. She's in Dweldenvarden.
She's traveling around. She pops down to
when
Nasuada.
When she leaves.
She leaves for affairs of state and gives them a call.
Sure, yeah, they do Skype sex like people did in the pandemic.
I do they start the spell and then leave so that Fiernan and Saphira can have a FaceTime sesh?
I don't know if dragons if that would work for them.
Nah, they masturbate.
Nah,
Dragons definitely masturbate.
Just don't know how you'd reach, I guess.
What do you mean? Their tongues are just.
If they can curl into a ball.
Their necks are fucking huge. They can reach their own genitals. They're like a cat. Just
you know what? Probably.
They're like a cat with a really long neck. They can do anything.
A cat with a long neck. Wow, I hate that.
Yeah, I mean, Saphira already polishes her own scales with her tongue, right?
True. I love that at the end he's like, oh, your scale is growing back.
She's like...
She's so happy about it.
I also love that she's like, I don't want to live in snow. I want to live in sand because Glader said it would make my scales look better.
Yeah.
Saphira's vanity. I do love that Saphira finally gets her true name because she realizes that she's a vain motherfucker.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think one of the reasons why all the characters in this series are complex is because Christopher Paolini wrote in that your true name points out all of your flaws.
Yeah.
And I think in creating the world and in thinking up that concept, he spent time thinking of all of his characters' flaws, and he wrote them into the series in a really beautiful way.
Yeah.
And I want to end with that because Inheritance Cycle...
you crushed it.
It's really good.
It's
just a good... It is a consistently good to great series that just... Yeah.
I love it. It's my favorite. It probably will always be my favorite because of my connection to it. Mm-hmm. And I'm so grateful that we got to talk about it.
Go watch our interview with Christopher Paolini.
Yeah.
And do something nerdy night, y'all.
Bye, guys.
Bye.